Hello, hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Warm greetings, warm greetings. What a treat it is to finally be live. Thank you all so much for joining me. This live is a 6-part live. It's pertaining to the funeral services of Vicki White, former correctional deputy officer, Alabama. Summer Wells, Naomi Judd, the suicide of Naomi Judd, the Moab double murders, former nurse Redonda Vaught, and the Buffalo shootings. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you so very kindly to join the Queen. We're going to go ahead and get started. Got a lot to cover, so I'm going to go ahead and get everything ready. Thank you all so much for joining me. First is pertaining to Vicki White.
Officer at the center of a nationwide manhunt while on the run with an accused killer was laid to rest today. The funeral for Vicki White wrapped up a short time ago in Lauderdale County. White 31's Xavier Wary joins us now live. Xavier?
Hey, Nicole. So White's funeral was held at Center Hill Cemetery in Lexington, Alabama. And for those that attended today's event, or today's funeral, rather, it gave them an opportunity to receive some closure as friends and family members got to say their final goodbyes. Now, Vicki White, who formerly worked for the Lauderdale County Detention Center, was front and center in the news nationwide as police tried to find her and the accused killer she sprung from jail. The pair went from Lauderdale County to Tennessee all the way to Indiana, where the two would eventually be found. Vicki White shot herself in the head as U.S. Marshals moved in after a brief chase. The manhunt lasted 11 days, and many of Vicki White's colleagues say that she was extremely kind and treated everyone fairly. Vicki White passed away at the age of 56. She is survived by a mother, a father, and various family members. But for now, we are live in Lauderdale County. Xavier Wary, Wake 31 News.
All right, everybody, that's pertaining to Vicki White. She was laid to rest yesterday in Lexington, Alabama at the age of 56 years old. Prayers to her family and her mother, Miss Pat. I am most definitely sure that this woman is very distraught at the news of her daughter taking her own life. So prayers to her family. I'm now going to discuss Summer Wells. I can't find anything pertaining to an update pertaining to Summer Wells. As most of you know, the 15th marks 11 months to the date that a report came out of Rogersville, Tennessee by her bio donors that she was missing from their said address. I do not have any new information to bring to you or repeat, but when I get that, I will bring you an update. But this is sad news still. This child has still been missing. No information, nothing about where she can be found. And there's been, as you know, a lot of hoopla pertaining to the disappearance, speculations of what happened to her, who's involved, not involved, a lot of BS with her parents being on social media, other people getting involved in a situation that didn't concern them, and still a lot of rhetoric that I refuse to participate in because the story has left the realm of the child missing. So therefore, I don't have any reason to participate. So that's my latest about her, which is absolutely nothing. Sorry. The child is still missing. It is now 11 months to the date that the child was reported missing out of Rogersville, Tennessee. And it is a sad situation and a pathetic situation how it became a circus pertaining to this child. That's all I have for that. I'm going to go on now to talk about the Moab double murders. This is pertaining to the dog who doesn't believe that they have the right person ID'd as the suspect, which is a co-worker of Miss Turner. And I am kind of in agreement because the thing that's strange to me is the fact that the girls didn't call out a name in the text messages to whomever they were speaking to about the creepy guy camping at their site or visiting near their site. I'm going to bring you that set information. Thank you so much for joining me. 1 second. A lot of stuff going on in the country this weekend. Unfortunately, some of it is very disturbing news. Okay. Oh, yes. And the movie of last week is Rage. It is now playing on Tubi for those of you who have Roku. It's a very interesting movie. It is a foreign movie, but in English. I believe it's filmed in Melbourne, Australia. A very intense drama thriller pertaining to a family that was viciously assaulted and a murder that took place in a family home. You have to figure out who the killer is or who the killers are. Rage, now playing on Tubi through Roku. Thank you all so much for joining me. Do they have the right suspect ID? This is News Nation.
People at home caught up on the situation in Moab. It's something we've been covering here at News Nation for a number of months now. But this is a case of two newlyweds who were married and were killed. They were murdered in Moab. This happened in August of last year. Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner are their names. They were found dead. They were out camping. Authorities gathered and eliminated the names of a number of possible suspects right when it happened. One name that came up right at the beginning of this case was Brian Laundrie, because Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito were in that same area of Moab around the same time that Kylan and Crystal were killed. Well, Gabby, as we know, later turned up dead, strangled to death in Wyoming. But the three murders somehow got connected, kind of lumped into the same category. It is a question that many had at the time. The FBI said that Brian Laundrie had nothing to do with it. They ruled him out as a killer, but they also never said who the killer was. Months and months went by with no updates in the case until recently, this week, an announcement, the local sheriff's office naming a local man, the man you see there on your screen, Adam Pinkschwitz, as the killer in this case. He worked at a Moab McDonald's and then later committed suicide. Based on his investigation, Dog the Bounty Hunter is not convinced, however, that authorities have the right suspects. So, Dog, what do you know that police don't in this case? What have you uncovered?
Well, we've been here in Moab for about 5 days now. I have one of the greatest investigation teams in the country, and all of them except for I or ex-law enforcement. We have interviewed 100 at least people. We have got 8 or 9 people that point to one particular person, and it's not Adam. The girls saw a strange, weirdo-looking guy. They knew who Adam was because they work with Adam. We did other interviews today. People that knew Adam, they said he's not like that. The guy that's our number one suspect, when we interview people, they say, oh yes, he could have done it. This guy that we think is a suspect was interviewed in the beginning, but the cops let him go. That doesn't mean because they let him go once that they can't go back and check. The reason Brian Laundrie is connected, Brian Laundrie was down here with Gabby in the exact restaurant where the girls worked. They met the girls. They're seen in a camera, going in the same place. Brian Laundrie used a 9mm to commit suicide. And the girls were also shot with the 9mm. So that is why I think the connection to Brian Laundrie was given. It was not Brian Laundrie that did it. It's not his gun. Brian Laundrie absolutely killed himself and is dead. And we think that the new suspect the sheriff come up with is good as a suspect, but I don't think he's the shooter. I think we've got the shooter. We're turning all our information tomorrow over to the FBI and the sheriff, and we'll see what happens from there.
What drew you to this particular case? Why take this one on?
Well, the father it's been 8 months since the girls were slaughtered, basically. And the father has, once a week, please dog. And then he said, I wish my mom's birthday's coming up soon. Her grandmother, dog, please, I pray every night for you to come. In fact, it just got to me. I said, all right, John Paul, I'll come down there and see what we can do. So we're here now.
So you think the killer's still out there? You think you know who it is? I want to have you back when you get closer, when you talk to law enforcement and the FBI. But you've gone over all of the evidence. Your process takes you all the way back to the beginning. Do you have any sort of motive or understanding on why they were so brutally murdered together out there in the middle of the mountains?
Well, it's a hate crime. Exactly what we figured now that we've checked out. Our suspect has absolutely got a record of hating people like that. So we believe it's a hate crime. It had to be either over love or hate. You just don't, a passerby just doesn't shoot two women 6 times apiece. Whoever did it, and our suspect knows them. And so they knew him. So I think we got the right guy.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more.
All right, everybody. So Dog and his team believe they have information to the suspect. So who is the suspect? Is it somebody that the ladies knew? Could it be a woman? Because he says he doesn't believe a random person would shoot someone 6 times. Well, we have learned in true crime that people have stabbed people that they did not know. Robbery, through rape. And it depends on the shooter. Depends on the person doing the stabbing. Depends on the person doing the beating. If he or she wants to stab you 5 or 6 times, 15 times, they will. It is just assumed that with stabbings, it's personal. But there have been many crimes where a perpetrator stabbed a random person during a robbery, altercation, whatsoever. Same thing with shootings. Did the ladies know the perpetrator? The ladies specified in their text to the friends and family a creepy guy. Wouldn't you name the guy? If I worked with him, wouldn't I give his name? Hey, that's Bob. What is Bob doing here? How does Bob know we're here? Do you understand what I'm saying? Why would they not name the guy? Does law enforcement have the right guy ID who has now killed himself? When did he kill himself? That's something they've left out, that this guy killed himself. When did he kill himself? Last year, when? This year, when? You left that out. Oh, he killed himself. The guy we've ID'd killed himself. Okay, when did he kill himself? You just leave it open-ended for us to try to figure out. Well, it's not my job to try to figure out who killed the girls. But give her something to go on besides, oh, he's now dead. This guy we think did it, he's dead. Well, who the hell is he? Besides, oh, he used to work at McDonald's. Oh, he was homeless. So was he homeless when he worked at McDonald's? Where was he living when he worked at McDonald's? In the same town? Round the corner, 20 minutes away? What? Was he sleeping on the street when he worked at McDonald's with Miss Turner? Did they have any interaction? Did they have words? It's been said that he had an issue with homosexual women, gay women. I'm going to read you content pertaining to that. Thank you for joining me. If you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. All super chats and stickers are welcome during this live. Thank you all so much for joining me. Now bring you information pertaining to what was said about this guy who is no longer alive. It's very strange information. All right, everybody, hold on. The Daily Beast is the source. This was uploaded May 11th. Utah authorities say they have identified a suspect in the murder of a couple camping out in Moab. Fast food worker who confided in someone that he had killed 2 women. So this is the man that they have deemed the killer. As you see in the photograph that looks like a driver license or state ID picture, he appears fuller face, more weight on him. Second photograph, he seems smaller. Which one is the one where he looked like before he died? I don't know. Okay, they're basically saying the fast food worker confided in someone that he had killed 2 women. So I'm assuming whoever he confided in is the person that's giving this information. But cops say there is no chance that Adam Pakinkiewicz will be brought to justice after the double homicide of Colin Schulte and Crystal Beck. He left the state and killed himself. It's a stunning turn of events in a case that has frustrated investigators since Schulte and Beck were found shot to death in August off a scenic road that runs through a national forest. Although Adam Pekishwitz has been identified as a suspect, this is still an ongoing investigation, and the case is not closed, the Grand County Sheriff said in a statement on Wednesday. Newlywed Schulte, 24, Beck, 38, went missing last summer after telling friends there was a weirdo camping near them in the mountains, according to Schulte's father. A desperate search for the couple led to heartache when a friend of the family, acting on a hunch, found their bodies. For months, family and friends tried to keep the spotlight on the case, hoping a break would lead to the killer. They even summoned Dwayne Dog, the bounty hunter, Chapman, to the area to investigate last weekend. In a statement, the sheriff said the suspect, who had worked at a local McDonald's, is identified as a person of interest early in the investigation, but he had already left Utah. Police recently received information that prior to committing suicide, he told another party that he had killed 2 women in Utah and provided specific details that were known only to investigators. So whatever he told about the killings of the ladies is information that obviously has not been released to the public. The sheriff did not disclose those details or any other aspects of the investigation beyond the fact that forensic experts are now combing over the suspect's 2007 Yaris. An amateur crime sleuth nicknamed Bullhorn Betty interviewed workers at the Moab McDonald's in November, and one of the employees named him as someone they suspected could be the killer. They described him as a homeless former worker who had gotten into a fight with another lesbian couple and was bad news. They said he had failed to pick up his last check after the killings. That is sad information by the Daily Beast. So he had an altercation with some other women who were gay. He's deemed homeless, and they said former worker, as described in this article, as a homeless former worker who got into a fight with another lesbian couple and was bad news. He did not come pick up his last check. So why would he not pick up his last check? Is he somebody that's just crazy, deranged, schizophrenic, off his rocker, wanting to be known for something such as saying he killed these ladies? Did he participate in the killings? Was he there? Does he know somebody that did it, but wants to take responsibility because he's a wacko? I don't know. But so far, this is the ID suspect that's been ID'd. Law officials say they investigated him early on, so obviously he was a suspect early on, but they never revealed this information to the public. Thank you all so much. Trying to read some of your comments. All right, that's the latest pertaining to the Moab murders. Prayers to the family. Pray that everything works out in their favor. Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much for the donation, sweetheart. God bless you. All right, everybody. Woo. The next subject is Naomi Judd. What a wow story. This is by the New York Times if you need verification for the source. When Naomi Judd, the Grammy-winning country music singer, died last month, her daughter Ashley Judd said that she had lost her mother to the disease of mental illness. On Thursday, Miss Judd was more candid, saying in a television interview that her mother had died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound at her home in Tennessee, and encouraging people who are distressed to seek help. Miss Judd, an actress, told Diane Sawyer, Good Morning America, that she was speaking out about her mother's death because her family wanted to share the information before it became public without our control. We're aware that although grieving the loss of a wife, mother, we are in an uncanny public family, Miss Judd said. So that's really the impetus for this timing. Otherwise, it's obviously way too soon. So that's important for us to say up front. Naomi Judd and her other daughter, Radonda Judd, dominated the country music charts in the 1980s as the mother-daughter duo, the Judds. Naomi Judd, 76, died on April 30th, the day before the duo was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. In the interview on Thursday, Ashley Judd said she was visiting her mother at her home outside Nashville when she died. Miss Judd said she went outside to greet a friend of her mother's who had stopped by, and when she went upstairs to tell her mother that the friend had arrived, she found her mother dead. Mother used a firearm, Miss Judd said. That's the piece of information that we are very uncomfortable sharing, but understand that we're in a position that if we don't say it, someone else is going to. Suicides have historically accounted for a majority of gun deaths in the United States. In 2020, 53% of suicides involved firearms, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Gun deaths reached the highest number ever recorded in the United States in 2020, when more than 24,000 people died by gun-related suicide and more than 19,350 people died by gun-related homicide. Ms. Judd said that she had suffered grief and trauma since her mother's death, and that it was important to distinguish her mother from her mental illness. Mom was a brilliant conversationalist. She was a star. She was underrated songwriter. She was an underrated songwriter, Ms. Judd said. And she was someone who suffered from mental illness, and had a lot of trouble getting off the sofa, except to go into town every day to the Cheesecake Factory, where all the staff knew and loved her. Naomi Judd was born in Ashland, a coal mining town in northeastern Kentucky, and lived in California before moving to Nashville in 1979 as a single mother with 2 daughters. Ms. Judd supported her family by working as a nurse while pursuing a music career with Radonda. Their break came in 1983 when Ms. Judd cared for a patient who turned out to be the daughter of an executive at RCA Records. A record deal, 9 Country Music Association Awards, 5 Grammys, and 14 #1 hits follow. Ashley Judd said in the interview that her mother was most alive when she was performing. Thank you all so much for joining me. She was very isolated in many ways because of the disease, Ms. Judd said, and yet there were a lot of people who showed up for her over the years, not just me. Ms. Judd encouraged people in distress to seek help and cited resources, including the National Suicide Hotline and the National Alliance for Mental Illness, a mental health organization that also has a hotline. And so I want to be very careful when we talk about this today. Ms. Judd said that for anyone who is having those ideas or the other impulses, to talk to someone, to share it, to be open, to be vulnerable. If you're having thoughts of suicide in the United States, call the National Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255-TALK, or go to speakingofsuicide.com/resources for a list of additional resources. And also in this article, you can hit the link to go to the designated area to get the care provided. Thank you all so much for joining me. Wow. I'm befuddled because in my mind, I'm trying to understand why a woman of almost 80 years would kill herself. So had she contemplated killing herself before? Any other means, such as pills, other ways? How many times? Was she currently on medicine for mental illness, depression, anxieties, or any other disorders that she has? What has she been diagnosed with exactly? This is very baffling to me because you rarely hear of someone this age killing themselves. The only time people this age kill themselves, if indeed they have maybe a partner who's gone on, perhaps a wife or husband passed on, they're grieving immensely. 2, they've been accused of a heinous crime such as rape or a Ponzi scheme or fraud. But you rarely hear someone this age, near 80, killing him or herself. It's a very odd phenomenon. It's very strange to me. Thank you all for joining me. Hello, everybody in the chat. But even if she suffered from depression as a young child, you're talking about living 70 plus years, almost 60 something plus years. To kill yourself at this age is very baffling. You rarely hear of people killing themselves this late age. Usually they take their lives way before 76, 78 years of age. It's very strange to me. But prayers to the family, the girls, the children, grandchildren, and immediate family. We're going to pray for them. But as I said, it was very baffling when I got the news. I saw the notification that it was a death. I had no idea that she had shot herself. That just stunned me. And I'm still stunned because I just can't understand in my right mind why in the world this woman at this late age would kill herself. Thank you all for joining me. I've brought you information pertaining to Vicki White, whose services were held yesterday Naomi Judd, who had a suicide, also killed herself by suicide. Summer Wells, no new update. Any information pertaining to her disappearance today marks 11 months. The Moab double murders. Law officials have ID'd a suspect who is also killed himself. Don't you find that strange? That each topic I picked tonight, all the people in the story have killed themselves. Just thought about that. Vicki White killed herself. Naomi Judd killed herself. The suspect ID'd in the Moab murders, he killed himself. I don't know if this is just a weird coincidence, but I just thought about that. I just picked stories where all the people killed themselves. 3 stories. I didn't even know. I didn't even think about it. That's very creepy. Now we're going to go to Nurse Redonda Vaught. I'm going to bring you that information pertaining to her being found guilty and her sentence is probation. She will not be receiving any jail time. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Let's go in here and see what we can find pertaining to this very baffling case out of the Nashville, Tennessee area. Very creepy. Very, very creepy. What's going on in this world? Got a lot of craziness going on. And of course, you know the blood moon eclipse tonight, for those of you who are interested. Woo! Let's start here. I got several things to say about this lady here. We're going to first bring you an introduction to what happened. ABC News is the source. Former nurse sentenced after deadly medical mistake.
Fate for the mistake that led to a patient's death. Redonda Vaught, convicted of criminally negligent homicide, faced prison time for giving a patient the wrong medication. ABC's Zachary Keish has more on the judge's sentence and the reaction to it. Good morning, Zachary.
Eva, good morning to you as well. She was a well-respected ICU nurse. That career and those credentials have been taken away, but the attorney representing Redonda Vaught told me she took accountability immediately after the tragic accident happened, and perhaps that played a role in the sentencing we saw. This morning, a former nurse who made a deadly mistake will not go to prison. Redonda Vaught will serve 3 years of probation for the 2017 death of 75-year-old Charlene Murphy, a patient she injected with the wrong medication.
Every day she realizes the consequences of her actions.
Vaught was charged and found guilty of criminally negligent homicide and neglect of an impaired adult for the lethal dose she administered to Murphy at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Murphy's family members on the witness stand were emotional and saying that they believed Vaught deserved a second chance.
Knowing my mom the way my mom was and stuff, she wouldn't want us there for no jail time. But, you know, that's just was mom. Mom was a very forgiving person.
A crowd of nurses outside were emotional as they clung to each other in the judge's sentencing explanation. The case, prolonged by COVID, lasted 4 years and captivated medical professionals concerned about what precedent Vaught's conviction could set. A recent Johns Hopkins University study found more than 250,000 Americans a year die from medical errors. The American Nurses Association, in a statement shortly after sentencing, saying, "We are grateful to the judge for demonstrating leniency in the sentencing of Nurse Vaught. Unfortunately, medical errors can and do happen, even among skilled, well-meaning, and vigilant nurses." Vaught apologizing to the family and court, saying, "Words can't accurately illustrate the remorse and sorrow."
I'm sorry for what you have lost. I am forever and will be haunted by my role in her untimely passing.
In addition to no jail time, Vaught will receive a judicial diversion, a pathway for first-time offenders to have their charges dropped and records expunged after completing probation. Vaught's lawyer is telling us now that the trial's over, she's ready to move on from nursing in this ordeal.
So she's, again, very well respected and loved that profession, but I think at this point in time, what she's been through, she's not interested in getting back into it.
She can't go. She can't get back
The case
nowhere.
was unique in part because of the criminal charges and the standards some felt it could set moving forward, specifically for those in medicine. Guys.
Thank you so much, Zach. Very nice to have you in studio with us.
ABC News, that's source number one pertaining to Redonda Vaught. Very interesting conversation. You know, I'm going to break it down. Can't even remember what I was supposed to be writing down. I forgot just that quick what they were saying. Charges. Oh, expunged. That's what I wanted to write down. So what do you think? Was the sentence right? You heard the son testify. His mother would not have wanted her to go to prison, but not to practice medicine. Did she make a mistake deliberately? Did she legally give the woman the wrong dose, knowing it was the wrong dose, didn't care? You will hear that she was distracted. Distracted from what exactly? The Queen's going to break it down. This will be the one topic I will break down thoroughly. All right, we're going to go back up to play more commentary. Hold on. News Channel 5 is the source number 2 pertaining to Redonda Vaught.
From healthcare workers across the country, a former Vanderbilt nurse.
Whoops, sorry about that.
Nurse faces years in prison for giving a patient a lethal dose of the wrong drug. News Channel 5's Emily Luxon catches us up on an emotional first day of testimony.
So when a nurse needs to get a medication from
A former Vanderbilt nurse charged with reckless homicide and impaired adult abuse finally has her day in court. Prosecutors argued Redonda Vaught should be held responsible for her actions, which resulted in the death of one of her patients.
Redonda Vaught recklessly ignored everything that she learned in school and everything that this pen represents.
Vaught's attorney countered by saying she was a well-respected nurse who made an honest mistake, and systemic failures at the hospital contributed to the error.
What happened on December 26, 2017 was a tragic mistake. It was unintentional. But one thing that's not been discussed at all and was not mentioned at all in the state's opening statement is the problems that were going on at the Vanderbilt University Medical Center at that time in 2017.
While a patient in the Vanderbilt ICU, 74-year-old Charlene Murphy was supposed to receive a sedative, but Vaught gave her a powerful paralyzer instead. Murphy's daughter-in-law described the scene.
I saw my mother with all those people around her, working on her.
Several former and current employees at Vanderbilt University Medical Center also took the stand. Vaught hung her head and cried multiple times and was especially emotional while listening to the audio recording of her interview with a TBI agent where she described what happened.
I'm worried, scared, upset. She asked what I was worried about, and I was like, well, I'm worried because my mistake caused the patient essentially to die.
If convicted of reckless homicide, Vaught faces up to 10 years in prison.
You'll have more than enough evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty.
She's been tested throughout this ordeal, and this is the final test.
Emily Luxon, News Channel 5.
All right, basically, that's just a recap. As you know, she's been found guilty and on probation for 3 years. There's a diversion involved to where the record can be expunged, but she will not be able to practice medicine. She cannot have a license in the state of Tennessee to be a nurse. What do you think? Deliberate? She didn't care, grabbed the wrong medicine, administered anyway. Once she saw the woman going into cardiac arrest, oh my goodness. Because I will explain everything that happened verbatim. That she went into overriding the machine. So that means she knew what she was doing. She looked for the medicine. It was not available. She should have notified someone to say, what can I give her? Instead of taking what she thought was what. You can't say you thought it was the medicine because then you said that it wasn't available. And the machine said override. It's also supposed to, I guess, make a noise, the machine, to give you warning signs of the medicine that's been dispensed. I don't really know much about this machine business. I also heard they had issues at Vanderbilt with the machine having some type of errors or some type of issue. I don't really know what that's all about. It is also known that these cases usually are handled behind the scenes. Rarely does the state prosecute people, doctors, nurses, but this is a first time for everything. Let's get this ball crunk. More information pertaining to this situation. Let me play this right here because there's also information about nurses quitting pertaining to the Redonda issue. Let's play this for a minute.
A former Vanderbilt nurse guilty for criminally negligent homicide. It comes after she gave a 74-year-old patient a fatal dose of the wrong medication back in 2017. News 4's Marissa Sulik spoke with nurses across the country today, leaving the profession and what they're doing now. Marissa.
Marius, after that verdict was read, many nurses joined this 8,200-member strong Facebook group called Nurses March for Redonda. Right now, hundreds plan to travel to Nashville for Vaught's sentencing next month and protest. Some feel so strongly about the verdict, they left their job.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Redonda Vaught, guilty of gross neglect.
Ever since Redonda Vaught's guilty verdict rang out, nurses across the country felt the need to flee.
I am quitting travel nursing because of the verdict.
Jennifer Alvera is one of those. She was a travel nurse for 17 years. Now, as you can see in our interview, she's in a moving truck heading to Florida.
I am currently moving. I just finished my last travel assignment in St. Paul, Minnesota.
She says after years of hard work, she can't become criminally liable for something she didn't intend to happen.
But I can make a mistake. I'm human. I don't know that I've ever made an error that has reached a patient. I don't believe that I have, but it could happen tomorrow.
Any of us could make a mistake, but I don't think any of us could have made this mistake.
Scott Shelton has been a registered nurse for 30 years. Instead of leaving, he's going back to school to become a nurse practitioner, a career he values.
I mean, if you can't see the warning on the vial when you inject it, you can't blame the hospital for that.
Right.
He believes Vaught should not have gone to criminal court and hopes she serves a light sentence. But he also says nurses need to be held accountable for the standards.
I really would like to see nurses, instead of fear-mongering and scaring each other to death, to take this opportunity to recommit ourselves to the profession.
It could legit happen to anyone. I am Radonda.
It's a profession Alvera has identified with for years, a profession she's leaving behind.
I am Jennifer. I am a nurse. Like, that's how you are. And so to quit nursing is going to be a change to my entire life. So not everybody can do that.
Alvera says she will be one of those nurses here in Nashville for the sentencing next month. Marius.
Marissa, thank you so much.
All right, that's an older content from a month ago. As you know, she's been found guilty on probation, has a diversion that I guess if everything's followed through in the 3 years with no other crimes committed by she can get this expunged from her record. But what about the dead lady? She doesn't get an expungement. She doesn't get a do-over. Although she did have a brain disorder, she was going to get a CAT scan. She was afraid to go in the little tunnel. So they gave her a sedative allegedly, but it was a lethal sedative. The wrong one, mind you, not what she was supposed to have. She was given something else. So my thing is, it doesn't matter if the medicine dispensed out the wrong medicine. You're still supposed to look at it anyway. It's no different than going in your cabinet. You want pepper. Well, you reach for it and you look to see that it's pepper before opening it and dousing it out. That's anything. Refrigerator, same thing. You want a Coke. You reach for the Coke. You see it's not Coke. You put it back. You go get your lemonade unless you're just damn thirsty. But, not as severe as medicine. Something lethal that can kill a person. Because that's the whole point of the story. The lady was doing okay and was going to be released. They just wanted to get a CAT scan before she left. So my thing is, if she was really horrible off, they would have kept her there. And the fear of that is, Hell, you would have probably killed her then too. I'm saying that. I'm saying that. That lady was doomed there because this lady said she was distracted. Distracted doing what? What were you doing? You will now hear her words. Thank you for joining me. You'll hear her own words. What she was doing on that fateful day. 1 second. This is where she's giving a deposition. The result in the patient's death, Miss Vaught. She worked at Vanderbilt Hospital Medical Center, late December 2017. She was charged with reckless homicide and impaired adult abuse.
Ethan called and said that his patient, CM, was in radiology to have a scan and that she needed a medication for anxiety. I went to the AccuDose machine to look for the medication that he said had been ordered for her. And I couldn't find it under her listed medications. So I called him back. I was pulling this medication. I didn't think to double check what I thought I had pulled from the machine. I used the override function. I don't recall ever seeing any warnings that showed up on the monitor. If there was a warning on the drawer, it didn't strike me. There are a lot of drawers with warnings. It's a critical care area. I walked across the hall to the tube station, and at that point, Ethan approached me, and he was holding the bag, the contents that I had given him earlier. He asked if this was the medication that I had given Miss Murphy, and I looked at the bag, CM. I looked at the bag, and I confirmed that it was, and that's when he said, "It's not Versed, it's Vecuronium." So I asked him to give the bag to our charge nurse.
Now, going back to the medication pool, we heard the pharmacist say earlier that there was some warnings, and Mr. Stryans entered the exhibit with the vial. Do you recall seeing the warning paralytic around the top of the vial?
If it was there, I did not acknowledge it. Desensitizing, alarm fatigue, and get used to certain processes. I'm pretty sure it's a big factor in how a lot of mistakes happen. You get used to a certain thing. You trust what the computer says. You ignore that alarm because you've heard it 10,000 times and it's been false or inappropriate. I won't ever be the same person. It's really when I started being a nurse, I told myself that I wanted to take care of people the way that I would want my grandmother to be taken care of. I would have never wanted something like this to happen to her or anyone that I loved or anyone that I don't even know.
What do you think? She showed remorse during the trial. That's what counted to the family and the son, wife. He said his mother would not have wanted her to go to prison. But the thing that's troublesome is that you had to have looked at the vial. You can't just say, well, the machine shot it out, I took it. Because you also admitted that you were looking for it and didn't see it. So that means you took the medicine willingly knowing it wasn't what she was supposed to be getting. And by the time you realize you made a mistake, allegedly, the lady was already in cardiac arrest. All right, everybody, calm down. That's KHN, Kaiser Health News, where you hear her testifying to what had happened. Let's hear the son. Miss Charlene's son.
About how you feel to be watched.
No, knowing my mom the way my mom was and stuff, she wouldn't want us there for no jail time. But, that's just was mom. Mom was a very forgiving person.
How about your father? You discussed it with him?
Yes, sir.
What's your father?
Dad, you just have to understand, Dad. He just says that he thinks that she should pull the max on it, the maximal sentence.
And is that
All right, that's a short clip of the son testifying. It's a very jacked up situation. I want to make sure I play everything pertaining to the story that I had. I want to play this one, News 5 again, just to make sure I'm playing everything.
Healthcare workers across the country. A former Vanderbilt nurse faces years in prison for giving a patient a lethal dose of the wrong drug. News Channel 5's Emily Luxon catches us up on an emotional first day of testimony.
so when a nurse needs to get a medication?
A former Vanderbilt nurse charged with reckless homicide and impaired adult abuse finally has her day in court. Prosecutors argued Redonda Vaught should be held responsible for her actions, which resulted in the death of one of her patients.
Redonda Vaught recklessly ignored everything that she learned in school, everything that this pen represents.
Vaught's attorney countered by saying she was a well-respected nurse who made an honest mistake, and systemic failures of the hospital contributed to the error.
What happened on December 26, 2017 was a tragic mistake. It was unintentional. But one thing that's not been discussed at all and was not mentioned at all in the state's opening statement is the problems that were going on at the Vanderbilt University Medical Center at that time in 2017.
While a patient in the Vanderbilt ICU, 74-year-old Charlene Murphy was supposed to receive a sedative, but Vaught gave her a powerful paralyzer instead. Murphy's daughter-in-law described the scene.
I saw my mother fall with all those people around her, working on her.
Several former and current employees at Vanderbilt University Medical Center also took the stand. Vaught hung her head and cried multiple times and was especially emotional while listening to the audio recording of her interview with a TBI agent where she described what happened.
Worried, scared, upset. She asked what I was worried about, and I was like, well, I'm worried because my mistake caused the patient essentially to die.
If convicted of reckless homicide, Vaught faces up to 10 years in prison.
You'll have more than enough evidence, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the defendant is guilty.
She's been tested throughout this ordeal, and this is the final test.
Emily Luxon, News Channel 5.
All right, somebody in the chat's wondering how long she's been a nurse. She wasn't a nurse long because she started nursing school in 2012. So this incident's 2017. That's only a 5-year span. You go to school for at least 4 years unless you're very smart, and you can graduate in 3. So you're only talking about a year to 2 years. She was a nurse. No blemishes, but still not a nurse a very long time. Use your own interpretation. All right. Woo, what a mess. What a mess. What a mess. What a mess. Now, as I told you with News 5, some nurses had traveled to Nashville for the sentencing. We're going to go ahead and play that. I'm going to play that again, get that information out. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Nurses showed up at the courthouse from across town, across the state, across the country to hear the judge deliver her sentence decision in this case. News Channel 5's Jason Lamb is outside the historic courthouse where they all gathered. Jason, they really didn't hold back on sharing their opinions.
That's right. In fact, a lot of the judges here said they took this case personally. They said they worried that they could easily end up in the same position that Redonda Vaught was in. By the historic courthouse fountains today, out of a sea of purple.
You can hear the speaker up there, but I can hear this better with my...
Sprang a flood of tension.
This court has considered the evidence.
Tension heard through a live stream.
We're listening to what's going on.
Dealt with in a prayer or felt through a friend.
Nurses make mistakes, not on purpose. It's very hard to be a nurse.
Many of these nurses crossed several state lines for the judge's decision on this criminal charge.
Everyone's kind of on edge, hoping for no jail time.
At first, it seemed like there could be time behind bars.
Set the sentence at 3 years. These terms will run concurrently.
But then the clarification, probation.
The court therefore finds that judicial diversion is appropriate.
So relieved. Again, like she said, mistakes were made, but they weren't criminal mistakes.
But even with a sentence that was a best case scenario in this court of nurses' opinion, it still wasn't all smiles.
I am so grateful that she won't be going to prison, but I am terrified for our career and what the future looks like.
With an outlook on their professions in mind, some nurses here say, after a morning full of tension, there's still some that remains tonight.
Today, we won by not putting a nurse in prison. However, we failed because we've still lost a nurse and we are still losing more.
And as we said, these nurses really did come from all over the country. Just a few minutes after that decision was reached, we spoke with one nurse from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and another from Cleveland, Ohio. Live in Nashville tonight, Jason Lamb, News Channel 5.
All right, Nashville News 5. As some of you are saying in the chat pertaining to the machine sounding. Well, see, that's another issue there. Why did anybody hear the sound? She said, well, it goes off, the drawer, the this. I didn't notice any warnings, blah, blah, blah. It almost makes me wonder if this is deliberate because somebody should have known something. The drawer should have said something. The machine should have said something, the monitor. So this is what's strange to me. Somebody else, yes, should have came in to see what the hell was going on with the monitor, the drawer, whatsoever. I don't know much about all this drawer stuff, monitor stuff, but I know what an override means. And I know that means somebody else should have intervened and came in to say, hey, what is the issue here? Or she should have went and said to somebody, okay, I need clearance or I need something. But obviously she had clearance because she was able to open the drawer and get the vial out. I'm going to give you a recap of what she was accused of and the sentence. Thank you for joining me. As you heard commentary, nurses quitting because of this issue a month ago, didn't want to be in her predicament. But my thing is, if you're a smart cookie, you know to read anything that you put in your hand that you're going to administer to another human being. Doesn't matter if a drawer box says such and such. You still should open the box, pull it out, and look at the vial, whatever you're taking out to give to a patient, a pill, whatever. If it says ibuprofen, don't you open the box to read that it says ibuprofen instead of Percocet? Do you see where I'm going? Don't you supposed to read? You want to just say, well, the hospital made mistakes. They're putting stuff in places they're not supposed to, but that doesn't matter. Because the thing about a machine is that a human had to put the vials or medicine in the machine. So yes, a human can make a mistake. So that means you're supposed to do due diligence to read what you are taking out of a machine. That's anything you do. That's anything you do. You're supposed to read. Can't blame the machine because in the end, a human is what put the medicine in the machine. The machine didn't make itself. The machine didn't put the medicine in itself. A human had to put the medicine in the machine. So everything is still human done, humanly done, human error. Thank you all so much for joining me. Let's recap what happened pertaining to this nurse, former nurse. What in the world? Okay. I was looking at something on social media, like, what in the world am I looking at? Oh, Lord. Some of y'all need to stay off the live book, please. Just stay off. Jesus. Stay off of there. Hold on, you guys. I want to bring you content pertaining to this wicked story. WashingtonPost.com is the source. Redonda Vaught, a former nurse in Tennessee who was convicted on felony charges for fatally injecting a patient with an incorrect drug, was sentenced to probation Friday in a case that became a rallying cry for healthcare workers fearful that medical mistakes would be criminalized. Vaught, who worked at Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville, faced up to 8 years in prison for giving 75-year-old Charlene Murphy a fatal dose of the wrong medication in December of 2017. Prosecutors said that instead of giving Murphy a dose of sedative Versed, Vaught injected the patient with the powerful muscle relaxant for, I say this correctly, Vecuronium or Vecurin, I don't know. You all know what I'm talking about, which left her unable to breathe. Jesus. Vaught, 38, was convicted in March of criminally negligent homicide and gross neglect of an impaired adult. Davidson County Criminal Court Judge Jennifer Smith ruled Friday that Vaught would be granted a judicial diversion, meaning the conviction would be expunged from the records that she completed a 3-year probation. She's still getting off easy. Ms. Vaught is well aware of the seriousness of the offense, Smith said, according to NPR, noting that the Murphy family had suffered a terrible loss. She credibly expressed remorse in this courtroom. The judge added that Vaught, who was shaken and had broken into tears as the order was read, had no previous criminal record and would never be a nurse again. This was a terrible, terrible mistake, and there have been consequences, the defendant, Smith said. Vaught, who took responsibility for her actions, immediately had apologized to the Murphy family in court, saying she'd be forever haunted by my role in her untimely passing. She did not deserve that, Vaught testified, reported the Associated Press. I will never, ever forget my role in this. I don't know what else to say that will make anything different. The judge is sentencing Vaught to probation. Excuse me. Hair everywhere. Sorry. Instead of prison ends a case that has galvanized healthcare workers who have spoken out against poor working conditions that have only been exacerbated during the coronavirus pandemic. Medical errors, including those that result in death, are usually dealt with by state medical boards, as I told you all before. Lawsuits against those involved in fatal medical mistakes are almost never prosecuted. Say that again. Lawsuits against those involved in fatal medical mistakes are almost never prosecuted in criminal court, which made Vaught's case a matter of national interest in recent months. Protesters in purple t-shirts reading, hashtag I am Radonda, celebrated outside the courthouse when the sentence was announced. The Davidson County District Attorney's Office argued that her indictment was a case of one careless nurse and not indicative of the nursing profession. Prosecutors did not oppose probation or seek a particular sentence in Vaught's case. Why is that? I find that very interesting. Why did the DA not seek a certain sentence? Is it because they didn't want possibly the jury would let her go? She'd get off again. Then you wouldn't be able to try her. That'd be double jeopardy. Relatives testified that Charlene Murphy's husband wanted Vaught to face prison, but her son, Michael Murphy, told the court Friday that he did not want the former nurse to be sent to prison. Knowing my mom, the way my mom was and stuff, she wouldn't want to see her served no jail time. Murphy said in court, according to the AP, "That's just Mom. Mom was a very forgiving person." Peter Strauss, Vaught's defense attorney, did not immediately respond to requests for comment early Saturday. He told reporters at a news conference Friday that Vaught should be credited for the dignity that she's shown throughout this entire process, her focus and her concern for Charlene Murphy and Miss Murphy's family. On Christmas Eve 2017, Murphy fell ill and was diagnosed with a subdural hematoma, an accumulation of blood on the surface of the brain. After she was transferred from Sumner Regional Medical Center in Gallatin, Tennessee to Vanderbilt, her condition improved and she was moved out of the highest level of the intensive care unit. Before she could be discharged, doctors ordered a PET scan to figure out the cause of the brain bleeding. Since Murphy was claustrophobic, she was prescribed Versed, generically known as midazolam, a sedative that would help her lie still for the PET scan. Vaught, who had been working in the ICU, was asked to retrieve the medication and administer it to the 75-year-old patient. But when the nurse was unable to find the sedative, she disengaged a safeguard and went into override mode, which allowed her access to more powerful drugs. She then mistakenly pulled out the vicodinium and injected Murphy with the muscle relaxant. Vaught eventually realized the error, but Murphy had already gone into cardiac arrest and suffered partial brain death. She died the next day, December 27, 2017. While Vaught admitted she had made several errors that led to the fatal injection of the wrong drug, stay woke, several. Now, wouldn't be administering the one drug be considered enough? Very, very interesting information. I'm trying to read you all comments too. All right. Let's see. While Vaught admitted she had made several errors that led to the fatal injection of the wrong drug, Strauss argued that systematic problems at the Vanderbilt were at least partly the cause of the circumstances leading to Murphy's death. The hospital settled a lawsuit with Murphy's family shortly after her death. Now, I'd like to know how much they settled for. I haven't heard. Vaught was investigated by the Nursing Licensing Board after Murphy's death, but she did not initially lose her license or undergo suspension. Not good. That changed roughly a year later when federal and state investigations threatened Vaught with the criminal indictment and VUMC with possible sanctions. Vaught was eventually stripped of her license after going before the nursing board last year after she was found guilty in March. Davidson County District Attorney Glenn Funk said in a statement that the goal of the conviction was for Vaught never to regain her nursing license. That is the outcome Charlene Murphy's family wanted, Funk said in March, the Tennessean reported. They wanted justice for Charlene Murphy, and that is what our office achieved for them. At Friday's hearing, Strauss had asked whether prosecutors had proved that the wrong injection undoubtedly caused Murphy's death. Vaught's attorney noted that Murphy's death certificate originally identified both intracerebral hemorrhage and cardiac arrest as her cause of death, according to WZTV. He argued that a new death certificate a year later listed vicodinium intoxication and was issued without an autopsy being performed on the body. Vaught told the court that her sentencing was going to have a larger effect in the possible criminalization of medical mistakes. This sentencing is bound to have an effect on how they proceed, both in reporting medical errors, medication errors, raising concerns if they see something they feel needs to be brought to someone's attention. Vaught told the court, USA Today reported, "I worried this is going to have a deep impact on patient safety." She did apologize to the family of the discussion surrounding the criminalization of the medical mistakes and the outpouring of support Vaught received from healthcare workers distracted from Murphy's death. Very, very interesting information there. "I'm sorry that this public outpouring of support for me has caused you to continue to live this over and over," she told the family. "No one has forgotten about your loved one. No one has forgotten about Miss Murphy. We're all horribly, horribly sorry for what happened." Murphy's family testified Friday about who the matriarch was and how they still had her Christmas presents in our attic wrapped more than 4 years later. My dad suffers every day from this, Michael Murphy said, according to the AP. He goes out to the graveyard 3 to 4 times a week and just sits there and cries. Vaught, who cried throughout the testimonies, reiterated that she had experienced anxiety, depression, remorse, sleepless nights, and has repeatedly replayed her mistakes. I will never be the same person, she testified. When Miss Murphy died, a part of me died with her. Washington Post is the source of that said information. Very interesting information. Now, NPR.org has information pertaining to why nurses were quitting their jobs. I'm going to bring you Sports Key. What did Radonda do? What did she do wrong? Trying to read some of your comments. Yes, you should double check. Okay. Let's do this right here. This is from March 26th of this year. Former nurse Redonda Vaught has been convicted of criminally negligent homicide and gross neglect of an impaired adult. The conviction is in connection with the 2017 death of 75-year-old patient Charlene Murphy. Vaught was first arrested in 2019. She was initially charged with reckless homicide and gross neglect of an impaired adult after injecting Murphy with the wrong drug that allegedly led to her death. The reckless homicide charge was later acquitted, and a lesser criminally negligent homicide charge was placed during the trial. The jury deliberated for nearly 4 hours in the trial and was closely followed by nurses and medical professionals across the country. The verdict in Vaught's case also left the nursing community worried about the criminalization of medical errors. During the trial, the American Nurses Association issued an official statement that read, transparent, just, and timely reporting mechanisms of medical errors without the fear of criminalization preserve safe patient care environments. If you understand what that means. Redonda Vaught probably did not intend to kill Miss Murphy, but she made a knowing choice. That is from the Nurses Association. As per the National District Attorney's sentencing guidelines, Vaught is reportedly set to face 3 to 6 years in prison for the neglect charge. Naturally, she's already been found guilty and doing 3 years probation. She also faces 1 to 2 years in prison for the negligent homicide charge as a defendant with no history of prior convictions. 2017, 75-year-old Charlene Murphy was admitted to the intensive care unit at Vanderbilt University Medical Center to receive treatment for a severe brain injury. Reports suggest the patient showed signs of improvement and was scheduled to be discharged from the hospital. Prior to her discharge, Murphy was supposed to undergo a certain physical examination. Calm down in the chat. All right, as I was saying, she was supposed to receive treatment for a brain injury, severe. Reports suggest the patient showed signs of improvement and was scheduled to be discharged from the hospital. Prior to her discharge, Murphy was supposed to undergo a certain physical examination. She was prescribed a sedative called Verse. Before being scanned for an MRI-like evaluation, Redonda Vaught was tasked with the responsibility of retrieving Verse from a computerized medication cabinet. Unfortunately, Vaught withdrew a powerful paralyzer called Vicurium, or I don't know how to pronounce this. What's the word? Let's see, Vicurium, however it's pronounced. You all know what I'm talking about. Instead of Versa. She then administered the wrong medication on the patient. See, they both start with the letter V. I don't know if that was be her excuse or not. All right. Can't get my thoughts here. All right. Medicine from the cabinet pool. Unfortunately, Vaught withdrew a powerful paralyzer called vecuronium instead of Versa. She then administered the wrong medication on the patient. Murphy was reportedly left brain dead by the time authorities detected the error. NPR reported that an investigative report claimed Vaught failed to notice several warning signs before administering the wrong drug on her patient. So what signs were that? The monitor and the pull drawer. NPR reported, as I said, she didn't see the signs. This includes the fact that Versed is a liquid, while vecuronium is a powder. Stay woke. The drug that she's supposed to be giving the lady was a liquid, but the one she took was a powder. That means she's supposed to know the difference. Stay woke. One woman wrote on Twitter, "This is honestly so scary. Stay safe out there, fam. Be careful and don't rush just because you're running late on task." Hashtag Redonda Vaught. And inside here, you will see the TBI's investigative report on this said situation. Let me see. I can't blow it up to where I can read it. You have to go to Twitter because I can't blow it up. But if you want to see it, it's on Twitter. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation report. It is so fine. I could barely make that out. What that TBI report says. Hold on. Yes, the lady was afraid to go in that tunnel. You know, a lot of people are claustrophobic, so the lady didn't want to go in there, so they were just going to give her a sedative to make her lie still. What a mistake that was. All right, let's go ahead and read this TBI report. 12/5/2018, report date 3/19/2019, approved by Douglas R. Long. Whew, Lord. Interview, Redonda Vaught. This gives all their personal information. Date of birth, 1/25/54. Redonda Vaught, 84, Charlene Murphy, her date of birth, 7/21/1942. On December 5th, 2018, TBI SA Angel Beverly and I interviewed Redonda Vaught, TBI headquarters located 901 RS Gas Boulevard, Nashville, Tennessee. After proper identification and explanation of the purpose of the interview, Vaught was administered her warnings as to constitutional rights, voluntarily waived them by signing the attached waiver, TBI form B1-0011, Vaught voluntarily provided an audio recorded statement. The recording has been saved and is in the custody of this agent. A brief summary of the interview is as follows. Vaught worked on the Neurointensive Care Unit, NICU, and Neuro Step-Down Unit at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, VMC, from November 2015 to January 18. So, that wasn't even 3 years. November 15. Yeah. To January 2018. Wasn't even 3 years. She was terminated on January 3rd, 2018 to failure to follow medical administration procedures. Vaught was working as the help all nurse. She was comfortable with that position and knew what was expected of her in that position. She was familiar with the AccuDose machines and how to access the medication held within the machines. She had worked December 25th, 2017, Christmas Day, and December 26th, 2017, on the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift. She stated she was not overtired. Vaught stated, sorry, it's kind of fine here, stated they were not understaffed. The NICU is always staffed due to the acute, what does it say? Acuity of the patients. Or the, I don't know what that word is. Vaught said the NICU is never short-handed. Some of you have been asking that. Were they short-staffed? She says no. She was asked was she tired. She said no. I'm trying to read you all comments too. All right. Let me finish this. She had a new orientation employee with her, Darren, but she told the night nurse that assigned him to work with her that she, Vaught, was comfortable having him with her as the help-all nurse. When Vaught went to the AccuDose machine to pull the medication to take to Charlene Murphy, she couldn't find Versed in Murphy's profile. She checked the medication administration record, MAR, in a different computer and found the order was there for Versed. Since she couldn't find the Versed in the AccuDose system, she overrode the system, typed in VE, and selected the first medication, which was the Vicorium, Broadmide, in the list. The system asked for a reason for the override, but she couldn't recall what reason she selected. This confidential document is property of the TBI. Lord, what did I just read? Ooh, I'm sick. Oh, my head hurts. So this is very iffy here because she's saying she checked the medication administration record in a different computer and found the order was there for the Versed. Since she couldn't find the Versed in the AccuDose system, she overrode the system, typed in VE, capital letters, and selected the first medication, which was the Vicorium medicine, VB, in the list. The system asked for a reason for the override, but she couldn't recall what reason she selected. See, that doesn't even sound right. What do you mean you can't remember? You can't recall the reason you selected it. See, that makes no sense. And if it's an override, like someone said, wouldn't the machine go off? Yes, see, she chose the first. This is bad because you still should have read it. But then the other thing of this situation is one's a powder, one's a liquid. So you should know the difference if you know meds. If you've ever used it before. Is it perhaps she's never used either medicine? So she don't know which one's supposed to be a liquid or a powder. Jesus, I'm dead. Vaught was arrested in 2019 and accused of being negligent on duty, leading to the loss of life. During the trial, Assistant District Attorney Chad Jackson compared Vaught to a drunk driver who caused a fatal accident. He said Vaught was driving with her eyes closed. Damn, that was good. However, Vaught's attorney Peter Strines argued that his client had committed an honest mistake. He added that she became a scapegoat for systematic issues present in the medication cabinets at Vanderbilt University Medical Center in 2017. Authorities from Vanderbilt countered the claim. Vanderbilt's pharmacy medication safety officer Terry Bozen testified that the hospital resolved the technical problems with medication cabinets weeks before Murphy's accidental death. Bijay Ashaya MD says on Twitter, a series of warnings, red flags were ignored, leading to an unfortunate demise of hashtag Charlene Murphy, hashtag Redonda Vaught, hashtag human factors. If you want to go to Twitter to read what he has to say, Bijay Ashaya, MD. Meanwhile, Vanderbilt neurologist Ely Zimmerman said that it was also in the realm of possibility that Murphy's death was caused by the impact of her own brain injury. Davidson County Chief Medical Examiner Fing Lee added that although he confirmed Murphy died from the Vicorium, he failed to verify the amount of the drug she received. He noted that a small amount of the drug would not have been fatal. Lord, ding, 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 ding. Big bells. So now we have a drug that's the wrong drug given to a lady with a brain hemorrhage who's doing well. But then this doctor says, let me read it right, that a small amount of the drug would not have been fatal. So this is more wicked because now you've got a medical examiner who didn't verify the amount of the drug she received. Why not? You always should do that, considering she was given the wrong drug. We knew she had a brain issue, but this stopped her breathing, the wrong drug. What in the world? Jesus. Before closing arguments on March 25th, Redonda Vaught told the Tennessean that she would never regret being truthful during the investigation despite the verdict of the case. Knowing what I know now, even if the jury finds me guilty, even if Judge Smith decides that prison time is the appropriate sentencing for this, and it's the maximum amount of time, I have zero regrets about telling the truth, quote unquote. Vaught also took responsibility for her actions during a separate proceeding before the Tennessee Board of Nursing 2021. At the time, she admitted to becoming complacent and distracted while using the medication cabinet and withdrawing the wrong drug. Let's repeat this again. She admits to becoming complacent, which that's a very bad word to use in the medical profession. That means I'm just doing whatever. That's what complacency means. I don't need to look it up. Distracted while using the medication cabinet, withdrawing the wrong drug. What were you doing? Talking on the phone, talking to the guy you're training? What? Eating chocolate? The hell is she talking about? This is bad. I know the reason this patient is no longer here is because of me. There won't ever be a day that goes by that I don't think about what I did, quote unquote. Redonda Vaught's sentencing is reportedly scheduled to take place May 13th, 2022. That day has already expired. She's found guilty, 3 years probation. If she completes everything with no other casualties, other arrests, gets in trouble, she can get a diversion to get her record expunged, but she will not be practicing medicine as a nurse here, there, or anywhere. That's my set information. Thank you all so much for joining me. That's Sports Kita if you need verification. Now, there were some crazy nurses out here who wanted to quit their job. I brought you commentary earlier in this live where one said they was quitting. Well, that's your personal decision. If you want to quit being a nurse for fear that you'll make a mistake and the state will charge you for negligence, that's your personal decision. What does that have to do with any of us? It's how I feel. You took an oath to do right by the patient. So you want to quit your job because of what the hell happened with Radonda. You don't know Radonda? She's admitted she was complacent and wasn't paying attention. The override button went off. She still don't know how it went off. She don't know if she remember hearing it. She don't remember if she heard nothing on the monitor, the drawer. This is all BS to me. This is how I feel about it. Because that machine, George, something should have been making some damn noise. This is crazy. Come on now. The machine's asking you, why do you need to get this medicine? So we now can't say that the machine's messed up because it's talking to you. And she says, I don't remember what I put in there. Okay. Well, I'll be damned. I don't remember what I said. Okay. But let her tell it she's been truthful. Emma Moore felt cornered at a community health clinic in Portland, Oregon. 29-year-old nurse practitioner said she felt overwhelmed and undertrained. Coronavirus patients flooded the clinic for 2 years and Moore struggled to keep up. Then the stakes became clear. On March 25th, about 2,400 miles away in Tennessee courtroom, former nurse Redonda Vaught was convicted of 2 felonies and now faces 8 years in prison for fatal medication mistake. This is older content. Like many nurses, Moore wondered if could be her. She made medication errors before, although none so grievous. But what about the next one in the pressure cooker of the pandemic-era healthcare? Another mistake felt inevitable. 4 days after Vaught's verdict, Moore quit. She said the verdict contributed to her decision. It's not worth the possibility or the likelihood that this will happen, Moore said. If I'm in a situation where I'm set up to fail in the wake of Vaught's trial, an extremely rare case of a healthcare worker being criminally prosecuted for a medical error, nurses and nursing organizations have condemned the verdict through tens of thousands of social media posts, shares, comments, videos. They warned that the fallout will ripple through their profession, demoralizing and depleting the ranks of nurses already stretched thin by the pandemic. Ultimately, they say it will worsen healthcare for all. Statements from the American Nurses Association, American Association of Critical Care Nurses, and the National Medical Association each said Vaught's conviction set a dangerous precedent. Linda Aiken, a nursing and sociology professor at the University of Pennsylvania, said that although Vaught's case is an outlier, it will make nurses less forthcoming about mistakes. One thing that everybody agrees on is it's going to have a dampening effect on the reporting of errors or near misses, which then has a detrimental effect on safety, Aiken said. The only way you can really learn about errors in these complicated systems is to have people say, oh, I almost gave the wrong drug because. Well, nobody's going to say that now. Fear and outrage about Vaught's case have swirled among nurses on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. On TikTok, a video platform increasingly popular amongst medical professionals, videos with the hashtag Redonda Vaught hashtag totaled more than 47 million views. Vaught supporters catapulted a plea for her clemency to the top of the change.org petition website. And thousands also joined a Facebook group planning to gather and protest outside Vaught's sentencing hearing in May. Ashley Bartholomew, 36, Tampa, Florida nurse who followed the trial through YouTube and Twitter, echoed the fear of many others. Nurses have long felt forced into impossible situations by mounting responsibilities and staffing shortages, she said, particularly in hospitals that operate with lean staffing models. The big response we are seeing is because all of us are acutely aware of how bad the pandemic has exacerbated existing problems, Bartholomew said. Setting a precedent for criminally charging for error is only going to make this exponentially worse. Vaught, who worked at Vanderbilt Medical Center in Nashville, was convicted in the death of Charlene Murphy, 75-year-old patient who died from a drug mix-up in 2017. Murphy was prescribed a dose of a sedative Versed, but Vaught accidentally withdrew a powerful paralyzer, Vercoronium, from an automated medication dispensing cabinet and administered it to Murphy. Prosecutors argued that Vaught overlooked many obvious signs that she was drawing the wrong drug and did not monitor Murphy after she was given the dose. Now, see, we didn't even hear that. Okay, here we go. So now you've given her the wrong drug and you didn't even watch her. So what were you doing? Wow. Val owned up to the error, but said it was an honest mistake, not a crime. Some of Vaught's peers supported the conviction. Scott Shep, a California nurse with a small YouTube channel, posted a 26-minute self-described unpopular opinion that Vaught deserves to serve prison time. We need to stick up for each other, he said, but we cannot defend the indefensible. Well said. Shep said he would never make the same error as Vaught, and neither would any competent nurse. Regarding concerns that the conviction would discourage nurses from disclosing errors, Shep said dishonest nurses should be weeding out of the profession anyway. I do agree too. In any other circumstance, I can't believe anyone, including nurses, would accept "I didn't mean to" as a serious defense, Shep said. Punishment for a harmful act someone actually did is justice. Vaught was acquitted of reckless homicide but convicted of a lesser charge, criminally negligent homicide, as well as gross neglect of an impaired adult. As outrage spread across social media, the Nashville District Attorney's Office defended the conviction, saying in a statement, it was not an indictment against the nursing profession or the medical community. This case is and always has been about one single individual who made 17 egregious actions and inactions that killed an elderly woman, said the office spokesperson, Steve Hayslip. The jury found that Vaught's actions were so far below the protocols and standard level of care that the jury, which included a longtime nurse and another healthcare professional, returned a guilty verdict in less than 4 hours. So she was judged by her own peers, literally. She was judged by a nurse and another healthcare professional on the jury panels. 4 hours, they said. They came back with a verdict of guilty. The office of Tennessee Governor Bill Lee confirmed he is not considering clemency for Vaught despite a change.org petition that has amassed about 187,000 signatures as of April 4th. Lee spokesperson Casey Black said that outside of death penalty cases, the governor relies on the Board of Parole to recommend defendants for clemency, which happens only after sentencing and a board investigation. But the controversy around Vaught's case is far from over. As of April 4th, more than 8,200 people have joined a Facebook group planning a march and protest outside the courthouse during her sentencing May 13th. Among the event's planners is Tina Vaught, the host of Good Nurse, Bad Nurse, a podcast that followed Vaught's case and opposed her prosecution. I don't know how Nashville is going to handle it, Vaught said of the protest during a recent episode about Vaught's trial. There are a lot of people coming from all over. NP.org is the source. What are you all chiming about down there? 114 viewing. Let me check you all out. Tennessee Rose says should not be allowed to override, but it did. Well, I was supposed to got a prescription the other day, and what was said to me before I left, and I made sure, because I'm very meticulous when I talk to people, kind of like how I do when I'm up here. Did you call in the prescription? Yes, we did. Will it be ready today? Yes, it should be ready today. Let a little time go by, hours go by. It closed at 7. Sorry, we don't got no medicine. Go to the drop-off box to see if it's in the computer, blah, blah, blah. Go over there to the drop-off box, the pharmacy. No, nobody's called anything in. Incompetent. I'm going to say that. They know I'm going to say it to them when I decide I want to call them. But you know what? I'm not going to call them because it's medicine I don't even want to take. For pain, you know, it's not a major pain medicine, you know, for my knee or whatever. But the point is, you lied. You didn't call it in. So it's like, well, I'm not going to argue with you about stuff you all are doing wrong. I'll let you figure it out. When you realize in the computer, oh, we didn't call it in like we said, and we made her go up there and it wasn't there. I'm going to lean on faith is what I'm going to do. I ain't worried about no medicine. That's just a little throw out. Let's chop it up. Did they give her the right sentence? Should she have gotten 8 years? She did not adhere to the warning signs. The monitor and the drawer should have overrode, which they did. What did they do? Ping, make noise, sound alarm, what? They said she made 17 mistakes. So that means they were able to track the mistakes. She didn't even check on the lady after giving her the meds. So that means that's what she was supposed to do for them to say it in this article. Why not? So that means you didn't do any damn thing. She said it. I was complacent. So complacent means, one, you're lazy. You were doing what you wanted to do. But you can't do what you want to do when giving people medicine that's supposed to put them out. That's kind of like going to surgery. The guy comes in to give you the medicine to put you out. He gives you the medicine. Nobody comes back to see if you're still breathing. What the hell? This is crazy. What had her distracted? They said she had a trainee with her. She didn't mind having the trainee with her. So what had her distracted? Never go into detail. Find that odd. They asked about the drawer, the monitor. It asked for a reason. What is your reason for overriding? She said she doesn't remember, but yet she says she told the truth and doesn't have any regrets if she got found guilty. Well, that doesn't make any sense because it seems like to me you would remember what you did and what you typed into the computer or the machine. This is BS. I don't understand none of this. Honey, I only have the one pharmacy. They don't have no reason to not call the right pharmacy. It's the same pharmacy for all my medicines. All right. She didn't work long as a nurse. Could this be an issue? They said not short-staffed, no issues. She liked the position she was in. She was the roundabout girl, as they call it. What was the problem? She hadn't been there for 2 years, 2.5 years, if that. November, December, January. She wasn't even there barely 2 years. Something, it's crazy to me. Did she really take that medicine by mistake out of that machine? Well, I'm commenting about how long she was a nurse. I just read you the content. She was a nurse under 3 years. Okay? She was a nurse under 3 years. So I can. That's not a long time. She hadn't built up a rapport for somebody to say she was doing great deeds as a nurse. That's my personal opinion. You haven't worked 10, 15 years unblemished. Less than 3 years, 2 years. It's not a long time. Graduating from school, going to work at the hospital. It's not a long time. And then if they teach you everything you're supposed to do in case of an emergency, in case of something going wrong, there has to be a protocol. Obviously, she didn't follow it. She didn't even check on the lady after giving her the meds. Everybody knows that once you're given a sedative, you're supposed to check up on the patient. You're just going to go, what, drink a Coke and get some peanuts after giving her a sedative? Come on, you guys. Stop this now. Yes, 2 years is still a new nurse. Exactly. Compared to 30 years. I don't think she was overwhelmed because she said they didn't have any issues. They weren't overstaffed, understaffed. She was the roundabout nurse. She basically said she was confident in what she was doing in the position that was given to her. That's what she said. That's her own words. It's not nobody else's words. Did she intentionally kill that lady and played possum in court and pretended that she cared about the lady, owned up to what she did because she got caught? Ting! Don't think that somebody who hasn't intentionally done something doesn't own it when they got caught, because the machine told on her. The machine told on her. The dead lady told on her. Stay woke. One's a liquid, one's a powder. Stay woke. If you knew the medicine, then you'd know that. But then you said you was complacent, you was distracted, but you don't tell nobody what you did. I don't know what else she said in the TBI report to the investigators, what she said to the police. Something's off here. This is all strange. Yeah, I think she should have called another nurse, another charge nurse, something. I just think that's strange. Why not look at the meds you're taking from the machine, considering the machine overrode? So that means the machine had to have been making noise. So then she also talks about that. I don't know. They make noise all the time. Huh? What are you saying? The machines make noise all the time. So I don't know if it was the monitor, the drawers. I don't know. Wow, maybe she's kin to the sheriff down there in Lauderdale. He don't know nothing either. Damn. Well, there are a lot of people that don't have any business being in all types of fields, not just medicine. There's people that don't have any business working behind the register at Piggly Wiggly. Let's just keep it real. Just don't got no business. A lot of people are ignorant. They are unhappy. They're short patience, and they work in public arenas such as restaurant, food, public service, 1-800 numbers. You don't have any patience. Those are fields you should not be in. You should not be working with people directly over the phone. That's just the truth. Still, why didn't you look at the medicine? Because they said they cleared the problem up with the machines weeks before the incident, and the pharmacy staff head person has spoken up in this commentary that there were no issues with the meds, that they were stocked properly, allegedly. But like I said, everything done is by a human. The machine doesn't stock itself. So a human had to put the meds in there. It's still your job to read the damn meds. Doesn't matter what I typed in the computer and then something comes down the dispensary. I still should look at the damn meds. Just like if you order a Coke, you order cookies out of a machine, a vending machine. What? You press A, H, something, 2. You wanted a Coke, and then Sprite comes out. Naturally, you can't do anything about it because it's a vending machine. But you understand, you assume you're going to get a Coke. Although this is more serious than a, food machine, but my goodness. It's just crazy. Tennessee says regular floor nurses do not usually deal with high-risk meds like Versa. Okay, Tennessee, well, thanks for telling me that. So what did I ask is one question. Machine dispenses or not? Well, the machine did dispense it. Machine errors before the corrected incident. As I said, the pharmacy has spoken that everything was cleared before this accident. Why did you all still let her work? You said it was a year later when you brought forth criminal charges. So you still let her keep her job. Why? Why would you still let her keep her job after she admitted that she didn't even look at the medicine? She was complacent, distracted. So you think I would read that report as a superior and say, yeah, I'm going to let her keep working here? Nah, I'm not going to keep letting you work here. Nah, we're going to let you go home on paid leave till we get to the bottom of all of this. But as I told you, usually the medical board deals with this. The district attorney rarely comes in with a charge, except in this case they did. Somebody kept on crying and moaning. 9 times out of 10, the family. She was charged a year later. So obviously, she realized her job was in jeopardy. So I'm assuming she was let go formally after the year. I don't know, they really say. Still a long time, 2 years. 2019 versus the incident took place Christmas 17. It's a long time for her to still be walking around, working, getting a check to dispense more medicine and override it. Just saying. I wasn't surprised if one of her work. How are they going to set her up? The machine dispenses the medicine. You're not making any sense now. Nobody has control over the machine except for the person that puts the medicine in the machine. He says the family didn't want jail. Well, the son said he didn't. He said the mother wouldn't have wanted it. But some relatives did say in one of the videos that they did want jail for her. But he said his mother was a nice person, forgiving person. They just wanted her out of a job, but not prison. Why? Why is that? Interesting. You heard his wife crying when she gave her testimony compared to seeing the mother being worked on by the staff. That would have to be devastating. You're thinking everything's okay. They're telling you, hey, she's going home. She's just got to get a CAT scan or MRI or whatever. Next thing you know, they're pumping on her. She can't breathe. The medicine stopped her from breathing. She's already an elderly person, brain hemorrhaging. Now you're going in, getting medicine to stop you from breathing altogether. So now you have to ask, what was the dose? Because now we hear that the medical examiner didn't even test to see how much she was given. That's crazy to me too. It's like, what the hell is going on with everybody? This is really weird. Very, very strange. She cannot perform any duties as a nurse, everybody. Nurses wanting to quit their jobs. Oh, I'm getting ready to get real ugly with that. You know the queen about to give it to you. What the hell do you care about this nurse who deliberately took the medicine out, didn't read it, didn't look at it, didn't check on the lady? You going to say, oh my God, they found her guilty. I'm going to quit my job. Well, that's your dumb self. You're going to quit your job. If you're confident about who you are and what you're doing as a professional, no matter what your job is, it doesn't matter what happened to Pookie and Shamiqua over here. What the hell does it have to do with you? You like being a nurse? You like being a doctor? Then continue to do your job. Well, what does this Redonda have to do with you? Yeah, I'm saying that because that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. She admitted she messed up. So why would you want to go quit your job as a nurse? Because I don't want to be in that position. But you were in that position anyway. Before you heard of Redonda Vaught. This is insane to me. You were in this position anyway. Before you ever heard of Redonda's name. You took a chance every day you went to work that you could easily made a mistake, be accused of making a mistake. So what's the difference? It's strange to me. Quit your job because Redonda Vaught, a stranger, was found guilty. It's the craziest thing I ever heard in my life. She admitted fault and found guilty. And she said it. I have no regrets about telling the truth. So why would you want to quit your job because you don't want to be brought up on charges for neglect of a patient or homicide? When if you know your job, you're going to do it to the best of your ability. This is the craziest thing I ever heard in my life. What the hell's going on? I see some of you not paying attention in the chat, and I'm not getting ready to play games in the chat. Just to stop it now. It says usually the hospital pays out. State board handles all these complaints, incidents. Rarely does the DA file charges. So obviously the DA felt like she was negligent in this case. So they brought forth charges. Because as I said, she admitted she was distracted. She admitted she was complacent. That was the wrong word to use, complacent. Because complacent basically says you're lazy. You don't care what you do. And usually if you don't care, then that means you don't care about the ramifications. So you don't care about the ramifications. Now there's a dead lady. You ain't got no damn job. Then you're standing trial. Negligent homicide. This is serious. It's not a joke. Doesn't matter that she had a brain hemorrhage. Doesn't matter what her reason was for going in there. She was scared to get a damn MRI. They said, hey, give her a sedative so she can lie still and get the damn CAT scan done. Charlene doesn't wake up. She just made a mistake. Well, tell that to the dead lady. Well, tell it to her husband too, because he's dead inside now. His wife's gone. He misses his wife. The son said he goes to the grave, 4 times a week or so to visit his dead wife. Come on now. Jesus. And as I said, brain disease or not, doesn't matter. Once you own it, you didn't pay attention to the meds. You didn't read it. Doesn't matter what ailments Miss Charlene had. The hospital was releasing her that day. And you said you were complacent and distracted. And I have yet to hear in any commentary what the hell you were distracted from. I feel she didn't care. Because when she couldn't find it, she took whatever dispensed out of the machine and gave it to the lady and never went back to check on Miss Charlene to see that she was okay, which shows me you were more than complacent. You were irresponsible and uncaring. Way deeper than complacent. Complacent should be a word used for somebody in the hospital for something minor, such as a yeast infection or the common cold. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're not taking any heavy meds. They're just there to be seen, check in, check out. No surgery, not being cut on, not going under the knife to where they need a sedative or anesthesia. This is BS. She should have went to a superior when the machines were going off. But she chose to take the medicine, which was the wrong medicine, out of the machine. And that was her choice. Each case will be different pertaining to negligence, wrong meds, wrong vials. But as I said, she admitted it was her fault. And that's why she was found guilty in a court of law by 12 members One was a nurse, and one was also a healthcare professional. And I think they gave the right verdict, but didn't give her no time. So either way, they were kind to her. And I do question why the state didn't have a specific sentence in mind. I think they didn't want to give a sentence because she was acquitted before, and they had to change the charge in that last trial. Or during this trial, excuse me. They downed the charge, excuse me. This is bad. What intuition, Tracy? What are you talking about? Once again, why didn't she look at the meds? That's all she had to do. And how in the world you, a random person that did not know her, don't know her, Redonda Vaught, would quit your damn job because you're fearing that it could be you? As I said, if you're competent about your skills and your disposition going to work, you're not going to be worried about being brought up on charges of neglect, neglectful homicide, negligent homicide, because you're going to do due diligence by the patient. As they say in retail, the customer is always right. So that's the attitude you should have in the medical profession. Thank you all for joining me. If you want to donate to the channel, $BeganG129 Cash App. All super chats and stickers are welcome during this live. This is the last subject matter of the evening. I'm almost 2 hours in. Thank you for joining me. In this live, we talked about Summer Wells. Still no new information to the disappearance of the child. Naomi Judd killing herself. I found it strange she would kill herself at a late age. Vicki White's funeral was yesterday in Lexington, Alabama. Prayers to Miss Pat, her mom. Redonda Vaught, nurse found guilty. 3 years probation. Has a diversion. Have all this expunged after 3 years of complying with the probation. Make sure in Moab, they have a suspect ID, but he's killed himself. So there will be no justice for the ladies. 6 subject matters. The last subject is the worst subject. A white boy decides to travel 3.5 hours to Buffalo, New York to kill black people because he's got a problem with the white race being diminished. Well, gee, I don't know who told you that, because obviously you don't know your demographics, sir. America is predominantly white. Last I checked, the area I live in is predominantly white. This part of the state is predominantly white, like all the other states in America. So I don't know who gave you your facts, sir. But see, you're like most typical racists. You're listening to other people, and you don't have your information correct. You're walking around mad at people you don't even know. They ain't done nothing to you. Maybe your mom and daddy don't like black people, Muslim, Jews, Mexicans, Arabs, Koreans. So you roll on the bandwagon too, because that's all you know. And I feel sorry for somebody that's a child being taught to hate the Muslim, the Jew, the Arab, the black folks. Don't talk to them. You can't trust them. They're horrible. They're violent. They kill their own race. But yet white people kill each other every day. They stay on the news killing each other. You kill your own parents. You kill your kids at school, your schoolmates, because somebody said something to you out of the way. You was teased, so you're going to school with a gun, a rifle. Get your friends to join. But blacks were violent. That's what they say. See, man is man, woman is woman, child is child. How you raised forms your identity. Who talked to you, how they treated you. Okay? But you didn't know your homework, because this is a white country, such as other countries. So you're really not too smart for somebody to say the white race was diminishing. It doesn't matter how many Mexicans have babies, how many blacks have babies. This is a white country, brother. And it's 400 plus years later, and it's still white. So you don't know what you're talking about. Because you're like most ignorant racists. You're just spewing off nonsense because you don't got nothing better to do. You want to find a scapegoat, somebody to be angry with. Well, let me go to the black folks. Let me go over here to the Mexicans. I don't like the Mexicans. I don't like the Koreans. They own every damn thing. They come to the country. They don't pay taxes. They build up these businesses. What about me? Woe is me. What problems did you have, sir, at 18 years old? You just beginning to live in the world. Bet your mom and daddy paid for everything. Did you have a job? You got kids to take care of? You paying for your schooling? Bet you live for free, sat in the basement all day playing video games and on the internet, crying and moaning in them Facebook groups about black folks and Mexicans. Thank you, Amy. 18 years of age. You see, that's what's wrong with a lot of you. You always want to blame somebody because stuff ain't right at your house. Them damn Mexicans get all the jobs. They get all this. Hell, the Mexicans do stuff that none of us would do. Black or white. Shut up. You know I'm telling the truth. You know I don't sugarcoat nothing over here. You damn right that Mexican go out in that damn field and pick up tomatoes, onions, and a black man won't do it and a white man won't either. So stop the foolishness. Let's see what happened in New York, Buffalo. Thank you for joining me. It's a crazy whirlwind. Lord have mercy, God. Prayers to the victims' families. Unsuspecting people shopping at the grocery store, minding their business, and here comes the Lone Ranger wanting to snuff them out because he could. Because he could. He won't be the first and he won't be the last. Prayers for America. God bless us. We need it. Lord have mercy. I don't know what to say. Pearlie Young ran a pantry. Every Saturday, she fed people at a local park. She loved singing, dancing, and being with her family. She was a mother, grandma, missionary. She was one of the victims of the Buffalo supermarket shooting. We're going to miss you, Miss Pearlie. That's what you stole when you shot those people up there in that grocery store. You snuffed out an elderly woman's life who didn't know you. She don't know nothing about your problem. She didn't give a damn because it wasn't her problem. You mad at the world, but you're mad at the wrong person. You're mad at yourself. Because 9 times out of 10, you weren't accomplished in the world. That's usually what racists do. They're underachievers. Underachievers. Here we go. New York Forest News. Thank you for joining me.
Ten people have been killed, adding to a weekend of violence and heartbreak across America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jen Maxfield in for Gilma Avalos. This newest shooting happened just a short time ago to our neighbors upstate in Buffalo. A suspect opening fire at a Tops grocery store, targeting people just doing their usual weekend errands for their families. Our team is following every detail coming in. We do want to get right to News 4's Adam Harding to walk us through what happened, Adam.
And Jen, we are closely monitoring an update from investigators that began about 10 minutes ago. We know at least 10 people killed in this shooting, several others injured. Witnesses tonight saying the shooter came to this grocery store wearing some type of body armor.
Possible active shooter at the top. There are still shots being fired.
The calls for help came in late this afternoon. An active shooter at the Top supermarket in Buffalo.
There's at least 3 people down on the ground. I can't tell you about shooting. This might be unusual body armor.
Cell phone video from the scene showing families breaking down, embracing.
Pulled up with army equipment
and just shut up the whole time.
Tonight, sources telling News 4 several people have been killed. The gunman firing off a rifle, possibly wearing body armor. He is now in custody. Police are still looking into a motive and whether the killings may have been driven by hate, possibly live streamed to an audience online.
What started out as a beautiful day in the city of Buffalo has turned into a terrible day and one of tremendous heartbreak for every member of our community.
Tonight, the Tops Market grocery chain saying in a statement, "We are shocked and deeply saddened by this senseless act of violence, and our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. Our top priority remains the health and well-being of our associates and customers. We appreciate the quick response of local law enforcement and are providing all available resources to assist authorities in the ongoing investigation."
We have suffered a mass shooting with multiple casualties and several people injured. This is the worst nightmare that any community can face.
Again, Jen, that press conference just starting at about 5:50. The mayor minutes ago saying that the shooter drove several hours to get to Buffalo. Tonight, we know both New York senators and the governor have been briefed on this shooting. Of course, a breaking situation, Jen. We are following closely.
And a horrifying one at that. Adam, thank you so much for that. Let's bring in now our chief investigative reporter, Jonathan Deans. Jonathan, I know you're getting new information on the shooter and what may have motivated him to do something like this. So what do we know at this hour?
Well, law enforcement officials are calling this a racially motivated hate crime, a racially motivated shooting, that the suspect is an 18-year-old white male from a suburb of Binghamton, New York. That's in Conklin, New York. That's a several-hour drive from Buffalo, and officials say he drove there, and that law enforcement officials say he was armed with 3 weapons, 2 of them rifles, and there were racial epithets apparently written on the side of some of those weapons. They also say he wrote out some sort of manifesto or document that claimed he's not crazy, that he knew what he was doing. That, according to law enforcement sources. And there are questions as to whether this suspect attempted to live stream the shooting incident, and investigators are looking into that possibility as well. Again, he drove several hours to apparently target this supermarket. He was taken into custody after the shooting, where he is, again, a white male, 18 years old. We were told several of the victims, if not all of them, are black. Many of them customers inside that supermarket. One of them believed to be a security guard who perhaps once worked as a police officer. So again, a racially motivated shooting in Buffalo, New York earlier today. An 18-year-old white male is in custody. Many of the victims deceased. We're told as many as 10 people killed in this shooting. We are continuing to get updates. That is the latest as of now. Back to you.
And all those innocent victims just out shopping at a grocery store on a Saturday afternoon. Jonathan Deans, thank you for that update.
As you see, you're safe. You're not safe anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in an urban neighborhood, you're at the mall, you're at the schoolhouse, your children are in school. The day the devil sends his minions in, all bets are off. What are the odds that in an urban neighborhood where it's expected that a black man or woman would kill another black person, a white boy, 18, deemed an adult now, goes into this place hours away where he lived and shoot up people because he's mad at the world. He's mad that the white race allegedly is diminishing, so he says. Goes to court, tells the judge he understands everything that they read to him. Yeah, I did that. What's your point? I'm going to bring you more information. Ten dead in mass shooting in supermarket in Buffalo, New York. It's almost a 20-minute video. Thank you for joining me.
Officials are discussing a mass shooting that happened in a supermarket. CBS News has confirmed at least 10 people are dead, more are injured. Let's listen.
Alan, let me know when we're good. Very well. What started out as a beautiful day in the city of Buffalo has turned into a terrible day and one of tremendous heartbreak for every member of our community. We have suffered a mass shooting with multiple casualties and several people injured. This is the worst nightmare that any community can face. And we are hurting and we are seething right now as a community. The depth of pain that families are feeling and that all of us are feeling right now cannot even be explained. Some of us had the opportunity to provide comfort to some of the families, but needless to say, there is no comfort at this time. We are pleased that a shooter is in custody. The person responsible for the tragic events of today is in custody. You will get more details in a moment. I want to thank all of the law enforcement agencies at the federal, state, county, and city level, all of the agencies that have responded. Buffalo is known as the city of good neighbors nationally and internationally. This is a community where people love each other. The shooter was not from this community. In fact, the shooter traveled hours from outside this community to perpetrate this crime on the people of Buffalo. A day when people were enjoying the sunshine, enjoying family, enjoying friends, all manner of happy activities. People in a supermarket shopping and bullets raining down on them. People's lives being snuffed out in an instant for no reason. I have to say that this particular top supermarket is near and dear to my heart. It's one that I worked years ago to help bring to this community. It's one that I patronize from time to time. My family patronizes from time to time. And some of the victims of this shooter's attack are people that all of us standing up here know. So this is a day of great pain for our community. I want to just recognize some of those that are with us today before I turn things over to our police commissioner, Joseph Grimalio, to give you more detail. I want to recognize County Executive Mark Polencars, Erie County Executive, Congressman Brian Higgins, Council President, Buffalo City Council President Darius Pridgeon, Erie County Legislature Chairwoman April Baskin, Erie County Legislator Howard Johnson. I want to recognize Governor Kathy Hochul and thank her for her calls. Governor's staff is with us now, and the governor is flying back into town and will be here sometime after 7 o'clock. I want to recognize Attorney General Letitia James, who has also called, and we have also received calls from the White House. Again, this is a day of great sadness for all of us in the city of Buffalo. To provide you with more detail, I want to turn things over to Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Grimalio.
Thank you, Mayor. At approximately 2:30 today, an individual who the mayor stated is not from this area and is from hours away drove to Buffalo, went to 1275 Jefferson Avenue to the Tops Market. He exited his vehicle. He was very heavily armed. He had tactical gear. He had a tactical helmet on. He had a camera that he was live streaming what he was doing. The individual exited his car and engaged 4 individuals. He shot 4 people in the parking lot. 3 of those were deceased. 1 individual at this time is surviving the injury. The individual went inside. As I said, he was an 18-year-old white male, walked into the store and began engaging customers inside the store. One of the individuals inside the store is the security guard, a beloved security guard. who was a retired Buffalo police officer, a hero in our eyes, engaged the suspect, fired multiple shots, struck the suspect, but because he had heavily armored plating on, that bullet had no round. The suspect engaged our retired officer, and he was ultimately shot and deceased at the scene. He continued to work his way through the store. Ultimately, he worked his way back towards the front of the store. Buffalo police immediately respond, engage the suspect in the vestibule of the store. And at that point, the suspect put the gun to his own neck. Buffalo police personnel, 2 patrol officers, talked the suspect into dropping the gun. He dropped the gun, took off some of his tactical gear, surrendered at that point, and he was led outside, put in a police car, and transported to Buffalo Police Headquarters. So as we said, a total of 13 people were shot today, 10 deceased at the scene, and 3 sustained non-life-threatening injuries. It appears to be non-life-threatening injuries at that point. 4 in total were store employees. One of those was the security guard who worked at that location for a very long time. Many officers are on scene here knew him quite well. And the rest of the victims are customers of the store. As the mayor said, this tragic incident by someone who is not a part of our community, does not live here. We'll let some of the other agencies get into the information that's been posted online. And I will turn this over at this point first to our Erie County Sheriff, John Garcia. I would like to thank all of the agencies. We have a very, very close working relationship with every level of government, every level of law enforcement, and everybody was immediately calling and responding. We had a command post set up, and everybody is asking what we can do and how can we pitch in. The individuals from several hours away, the New York State Police and the FBI are investigating that part of the crime as well. So I will turn this over at this point to Erie County Sheriff John Garcia. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gramaglia. As your sheriff and on behalf of the men and women of the Erie County Sheriff's Office, our condolences to the victims and their families. From a law enforcement standpoint, the Erie County Sheriff's Office responded, boots on the ground, deputies, investigators, our helicopter in the air, our SWAT team on standby. And as Commissioner Gramaglia said, we are working together every single day to keep the community safe. This was pure evil. It was straight up racially motivated hate crime from somebody outside of our community, outside of the city of good neighbors, as the mayor said, coming into our community and trying to inflict that evil upon us. I urge everyone to stay calm, and we are there to protect the citizens of Erie County and Buffalo, and we'll be out there along with the City of Buffalo Police Department patrolling. And again, my condolences to the family. And this person was of pure evil. So, thank you.
I'm Stephen Belongia. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI's Buffalo field office. We stand here today confronted with feelings of anger, shock, confusion, fear, compassion. We feel motivated to help and relieve the anguish of those who were killed and injured today and their families and friends. These victims did not deserve this. They were doing what we do every day, going to the grocery store or simply doing our jobs. The FBI is working this case jointly with our partners, with the Buffalo PD and our other federal, state, and local partners. We are investigating this incident as both a hate crime and a case of racially motivated violent extremism. Hate crimes fall within the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division, and racially motivated violent extremism cases fall within the FBI's Counterterrorism Division within our Domestic Terrorism section. The FBI is providing all necessary resources, both locally and nationally, to investigate this matter. We will not stop until every lead is investigated, every piece of evidence is analyzed, and until we understand how and why this horrible tragedy and crime occurred. Our thoughts and our prayers are with the family and the victims who died today.
I'm Trini Ross. I'm the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York. I want to start by saying my thoughts and heartfelt prayers go to the family, the victims, and the community that had to suffer this great and unnecessary tragedy today. We're working with our state, federal, and local law enforcement partners, as you've already heard from, to ensure that justice is brought to this community, to those victims, to their families. The United States Attorney's Office will be investigating this case along with our law enforcement partners as a hate crime and domestic violent extremism. I'm in touch with the highest levels of the Department of Justice. Resources will be put behind this investigation. Whatever we need, we will not stop until justice is brought to this community, those families, and the victims of this horrific crime. I can assure you, as the United States Attorney, I will bring whatever resources we need to this community to make sure that justice is done. This should never happen to anyone in any community. It surely shouldn't happen on a beautiful Saturday when people are just shopping and going through normal life events. We will ensure that the perpetrator of this victim is given justice, and justice will be done for this community.
All right. Let me first start out by saying thank you. Thank you to all my partners in law enforcement here, from the federal, state, local level. The amount of work that's been done so far has been extraordinary. The amount of information that's been gathered so far has been outstanding. And for everyone involved here, from Trini to BPD to the state police to the sheriff, I cannot thank enough. We here in Erie County, though, are not waiting. I have already called a judge, Judge Hanna, to come downtown immediately and arraign this individual. So within the next hour, this individual will be arraigned on a charge of murder in the first degree. I am not even going to mention his name right now. One, because the arraignment hasn't occurred. But more importantly, I don't want to give him any celebrityism at all right now.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to give him anything right now that puts attention on him and the alleged, and again I say alleged, despicable acts that were committed today in our great city. So I'm not going to give you his name right now. I'll give it to you after I issue a press release after he's been arraigned.
Okay. They were showing the scene. Hold on one second. It took a break.
But Judge Hanna is downtown right now. BPD in my office are drafting the charges right now, and he will be arraigned tonight. And that charge of murder in the first degree carries with it a life without parole sentence. Now, there are two aspects of the murder in the first degree charge that potentially could be charged here. The one obviously is crystal clear right now. There is a certain subdivision of the murder in the first degree that accounts for multiple individuals getting shot and killed, which is what we have here. As the commissioner said, we have 10 individuals who have unfortunately lost their life, 3 that are have been shot but are going to survive, hopefully. There is also a second subsection of the murder in the first degree that has a racial component to it. Obviously, we will investigate that further. I want to make sure right now, though, when I arraign him tonight, my clock is ticking as far as my felony hearing date, which will be 5 days from now. So I want to make sure that I have the best charge right now to hold him in custody and to get this matter moving forward before I add any other charges on. But I can, and if those charges are applicable, which I think they may be, they will be added on. They're not going to increase the punishment at all from a state standpoint. From a state standpoint, it is life without parole, and that's as high as we can go. So I also want to thank my district attorneys across the country who have been texting me and calling me for the past 2 hours. I thank you for your thoughts. I thank you for your prayers. But more importantly, I want everyone to know that my thoughts and prayers are with the family members who have lost loved ones today in the city of Buffalo.
We'll next hear from County Executive Mark Poloncarz and then Congressman Brian Higgins.
And then I'll take any questions at the end.
As has been said by all the others, today is one of the saddest days in the city of Buffalo and Erie County's history. All of the county's resources have been made available as necessary to assist in this unfortunate, horrific act. As the mayor noted, we are the city of good neighbors, and we, of course, are not defined by this act, but how we will come together to support the families of those who have lost. And on behalf of the people of Erie County, I want to offer my deepest condolences to those who lost a loved one today. Erie County mental health counselors, as well as our partners from the mental health community, are already on site to assist those who may have lost a loved one or those who were a witness to this horrific crime. And as we know, we will offer all resources possible from all parts of county government, whether it's the sheriff's office, the district attorney's offices, or the other departments, that to ensure that not only do this individual be prosecuted for this horrible crime and brought to the full extent of justice, but that we also can heal as a community from this traumatic experience.
Well, thank you very much. And let me just say to all of my colleagues in government, our law enforcement community, the eyes of the nation are on Buffalo. And those eyes are full of tears, they're full of sympathy for the violence and the tragedy that's been exacted on good, innocent people who went to work this morning, said goodbye to their loved ones, expecting fully to return home tonight. 10 people are not going to return home. Their loss, their death, is a loss and a death that's exacted on this community. Our sympathy goes to the families, our thoughts go to the families and to the victims. And I couldn't be more proud of my mayor, my county executive, my district attorney, the U.S. attorney, and all of the elected officials that are here today in the law enforcement community who have coordinated this effort in a highly effective way. So this is something that hopefully we will learn from, something that will serve as a basis from which enacting policy at the federal level to get guns out of the hands of those people who should not have guns in their hands. And we hope that time will heal. And we are a good community. We are a giving community. We love our people. We love our diversity. And again, these people were people that for the past 24 months were working in service of others, and people who we called our heroes. And our heroes have been taken down today without justification.
So as we conclude, before we open up for questions, again, I want to express that our deepest and most heartfelt condolences are with the families of those who lost their lives today tragically and unnecessarily. If you would bear with us, we will open up for questions, and then we will conclude in prayer with Father Sile, the fire department chaplain, and our council president, Darius Pridgen.
Okay, I think that was cut down. Well, that was the gist of the information pertaining to what the city had to say. I'm going to let you all hear information from a citizen from Buffalo. I traveled there many years ago from Canada, crossing over into New York from Canada. I was visiting Canada many years ago, and I went into Buffalo coming out of Canada one night to the person I was visiting was shipping a package from New York overseas because it was just cheaper to do it from the States than Canada. And that was my first experience in Buffalo. It was at nighttime, very cold place, had dinner there. Didn't get to, really see the sights, but that was my experience with Buffalo many moons ago. Matter of fact, it was 20 years ago this year, if I'm not mistaken. That was 02, February of 02. Let's get some more information from citizens that live in the city and what they have to say pertaining to this horrible event. 1 second. And as I said, Miss Pearlie Young, 25 years, ran a food pantry. I've got it on my community page if you want to see Miss Pearlie. I'll go ahead and show her a picture right quick. Hold on 1 second. This is Miss Pearlie Young, one of the victims. Elderly lady, minding her business. Now gone. Lord have mercy. It's ridiculous. No words. News Nation, source. Buffalo Bishop describes community reaction to grocery store shooting. Uploaded 1 day ago. Thank you for joining me. Hold on, you guys.
Bishop Harry Davis. He is the founder of the Stop Violence Foundation in Buffalo. Thank you for being with us tonight. And I know you've done a lot of work to stop violence within your community, and to find out someone came from outside the community, traveled hours to target African-American people who are just going about their day at the grocery store. What is your reaction?
Well, first off, I just want to say our prayers go out to all the victims and the victim families. And we've been praying for a safe summer here in Buffalo. And this is quite a shock to our community. And we definitely would want to get cut off. Look at it.
Okay. Having some problems there with that. Maybe he can rejoin us. Are you there, still?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah,
go on. We can hear you.
It's quite a shock to our community. Like I said, we've been praying for a safe, summer. And hoping that, wouldn't have any incidents like this. But this is quite a shock to our whole community, to the whole city of Western New York. I was actually, I brought the city's grill shooter in that happened 12 years ago in Buffalo, New York. Me and Daniel Jackson had brought the city grill shooter into Channel 4 News 12 years ago. He actually killed 5 people and shot 8. And now this is bringing up old wounds and old memories. And I know this is quite a shocker for our whole community.
What about the fact that this appears to be racially motivated?
Yeah, and that's another thing. And to me, it doesn't matter whether you're black or white. If you're killing people, that's a loss. People are losing people, and it's going to hurt just the same. It don't matter what color the person is that do it. It's still going to hurt. And I'm asking the community to remain calm. And just, let's pray, just keep praying about this, because we don't want this to escalate into something that's quite unnecessary. It doesn't matter if a black person killed a black person, or a white person killed a white person. It's still a person that someone killed, and that family is going to lose a father, brother, or husband, or a provider. It's still a life lost, and that's my whole thing here. We're praying that the community remains calm, and that's what we're calling for.
Do you think this is going to divide the community or bring the community together?
Well, I think it's going to bring the community together a lot stronger. I mean, Buffalo, we're pretty resilient here. I mean, when something comes down, we're actually the city of good neighbors. And so one incident like this or something like this comes up, it just brings us closer and makes us stronger. And like I said, our prayers are going out to the victims, to the victim families. And we this is a shocker for us. But it's definitely going to make us stronger as a city and hopefully as a nation.
Tell me about this neighborhood, about this community, this particular grocery store.
I couldn't understand the question there.
Tell me about this particular grocery store in the community, the neighborhood it's in.
Well, Tops Supermarket It's there for people that actually don't have vehicles or they can't go way out to get, their groceries. And people are in there shopping to get groceries to feed their family. It is a community supermarket, and it's been there for years. And we haven't had any incidents, nothing like this, put it that way.
And there was even a guard there. There was a guard there who was. I apologize.
I mean, this is just a total surprise to everyone in the store, and a total surprise to everyone in our city. We're in total shock behind this.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I was saying there's even a guard there who was a former police officer who was also shot. I mean, they had protection in place, and someone just walked in with a rifle and opened fire on all these unsuspecting people.
When you got a guy going in there with an AR-15 or AR-7, whatever the automatic weapon he was using, the average police officer or security guy doesn't have, something like that to combat that situation. And so, this guy went in and with that purpose of actually, annihilating people or killing people. And, with the security guy, couldn't stand up against something like of that nature.
Yeah, and there were people outside, inside. I mean, the people who didn't get shot, there were witnesses who are now going to, have to live with this for the rest of their life. And it's going to make a scar on the community, I imagine, forever.
Yeah, and again, the people that was in there shopping, the people that was actually in there working, guys started coming in and shots started ringing out. Everybody's in shock. People are dying. People on the ground. People begging for their lives. And like I said, it's just a total shocker because, someone's out there shopping for groceries or getting milk for their baby. Next thing you know, they're begging for their life because the guy's standing up over with the, AR-15 or whatever he's using and shooting and killing them. So, yeah, it's a heartbreaker. Like I said, we're asking the community to remain calm, and we're going to keep praying about this. And if they will get to the bottom of it, but we're hoping that this doesn't escalate into something greater.
All right, Bishop, thank you so much for joining us today, Bishop Harry Davis. We appreciate your time.
God bless you. And like I said, we're praying for the families, and we're hoping for the best, okay?
All right, thank you. Thanks for watching.
All right, that's News Nation talking to a bishop there. Let me finish typing this right here. I know he was streaming live while shooting, but then he allegedly was cut. I'm going to try to bring you that information, but I do not know if he was streaming driving on his way there. Hold on one second. Don't know. Wow. Let's see. Driving. Hold on one second, you guys. Crazy nonsense. All right, let me see what else I got planned for you guys. Hold on. Whew. What a mess. Please check out my community board. The movie for last week was Rage. I posted it late. Sorry about that. It's a very good movie. Filmed in Melbourne, Australia. It's a very wicked tale of a home invasion. I will not tell you any more about the movie, but check it out. It's running on Tubi on Roku. Thanks for joining me. Let's see. I don't think I posted anything else about this story. I'm going to read you some information pertaining to this. I will not talk about this topic until there's trial, and then I'll bring you the verdict once he goes to trial. But other than that, I will not speak of the person because he's irrelevant. He's as someone once said on the Real Housewives basketball, many people know her. She was from Miami. He's a non-relevant motherfucking factor. Excuse my language. So I'll never speak of him. I'm only bringing it because it's breaking news. After tonight, I have no reason to mention his name. He's irrelevant to me. CNN.com is the source. Thank you for joining me. What we know about the Buffalo supermarket shooting suspect, Peyton Gendron. Last time I will call him out. The 18-year-old man who allegedly shot and killed 10 people at a Buffalo supermarket Saturday afternoon was motivated by hate. Authorities said the Tops Friendly Market where the shooting took place is located in the heart of Buffalo's Black community, and 11 of the 13 people shot by white suspect were Black, officials said. This was pure evil, Erie County Sheriff John C. Garcia said at a Saturday news conference, calling the shooting a straight-up racially motivated hate crime from somebody outside of our community. The U.S. Department of Justice is investigating the shooting as a hate crime and an act of racially motivated violent extremism. According to a statement from the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, Peyton Gendron of Conklin, New York, was charged with first-degree murder Saturday. Erie County District Attorney John J. Flynn said in a news release, Conklin is about a 3.5-hour drive from Buffalo. For those of you who are curious, he pleaded not guilty. Here's what we know about the shooting suspects. He was wearing tactical gear. Authorities say when the suspect arrived at the store around 2:30 p.m., he was heavily armed, wearing tactical gear, a helmet, camera that was live streaming his actions. The suspect used an assault weapon, Flynn said during the news conference. In his news release, Flynn said the suspect shot 4 people outside of the grocery store, 3 fatally. When he entered the store, he exchanged fire with an armed security guard who authorities said was a retired Buffalo police officer. The security guard died of his injuries. The suspect shot 8 more people in the store, 6 of whom died, the release said. He legally purchased a gun in New York. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said it's not clear if the suspect should have been prevented from being sold a gun in New York State after it's emerged the gunman was once investigated over something he had written in high school. Speaking to Margaret Brennan on CBS Face the Nation on Sunday, Hochul was asked about the 18-year-old suspect was able to legally purchase a gun. Early Sunday, Hochul told CNN the gun used in the Buffalo mass shooting, where 10 people were killed on Saturday, was purchased legally in New York State. Speaking to CNN's Dana Bash on the State of the Union, Hochul said the weapon was an AR-15. She said it believed the high-capacity magazine was purchased outside of New York. Brennan asked, you said it was legally obtained. You also said that the shooter had been at one point under the surveillance of medical authorities because of past comments he made about carrying out a shooting. How was he allowed to buy and to hold on to that weapon? Thank you all for joining me. Hochul responded, that is exactly what is being investigated now. I understand that he wrote something when he was in high school, and that was being investigated. So we're going to get to the bottom of that. Asked if the sale of the gun was an oversight by the state, Hochul said, we don't know that right now, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it and find out right now. It would have happened a while back. She added, apparently he was investigated when he was a high school student, brought to the attention of the authorities. He had a medical evaluation based on something he had written in school, and so we're going to find out what happened in the aftermath. The popular live streaming platform Twitch confirmed Saturday the shooting suspect used its platform to stream a live broadcast during the attack. The company said it was devastated to hear about the shooting and added the user had been indefinitely suspended from our service, and we are taking all appropriate action, including monitoring for any accounts rebroadcasting this content. CNN obtained a portion of the live stream that shows the alleged shooter pulling up to a top store. The video is recorded from the point of view of the alleged shooter as he is driving into the supermarket's parking lot. The person is seen in the rearview mirror wearing a helmet is heard saying, just gotta go for it, before he pulls into the front of the store. Yeah, I guess he was pumping himself up. In the video, store patrons can be seen walking through the parking lot as the suspect drives up. A spokesperson for Twitch said the company removed the live stream less than 2 minutes after the violence started. The company did not immediately respond to follow-up questions about whether the suspect was actively firing when the live stream was halted. Okay. Flynn said investigators are going through a 180-page purported manifesto for clues. We are obviously going through that with the fine-tooth comb and reviewing that for all evidence that may lead us to besides the manifesto itself. The DA told CNN's Victor Blackwell Sunday afternoon, all the evidence that we ascertained from the manifesto, from wherever that manifesto leads us, other pieces of evidence we already had, we can then use that and develop more charges potentially, Flynn said. Investigators were reviewing Saturday the purported manifesto posted online in connection with the shooting probe, 2 federal law enforcement sources told CNN. The manifesto, independently obtained by CNN shortly after the attack and before authorities released the suspect's name, is allegedly written by a person claiming to be Peyton Gendron, confessing to the attack. The manifesto's author says he bought ammo for some time, but didn't get serious about planning the attack until January. The author also goes on about his perceptions of the dwindling size of the white population and claims of ethnic and cultural replacement of whites. A portion of the document is written in question and answer form. Yeah, he's crazy. Did you like this? Did you eat your Wheaties this morning? No, I didn't. Yeah, nut job. The manifesto's author attributes the internet for most of his beliefs and describes himself as a fascist, a white supremacist, and an anti-Semitic, whatever. Stupid. Gendron was a worker at the local Conklin Reliable Market for about 4 months before he left about 3 months ago, according to the store's owner. The owner of the store says he was very quiet and left on his own terms, giving 2 weeks' notice. Now, where have I ever heard that before? They're always quiet, are they not? Always quiet. What did I tell you in my last commentary pertaining to Vicki White and Casey White? The quiet ones make the most noise. What my mother used to tell me as a child. That's the one you should always watch. Not the loud mouth, but the quiet one. Amen. Neighbors say they would see Gendron's mother regularly walking in the neighborhood. One neighbor said the mother was a nice woman, and they never would have thought that in a million years Gendron would have racist views. The neighbor added, "It's pretty shocking." Another neighbor said when you talk to Peyton Gendron, you wouldn't get more than a word or two from him. He made a generalized threat. High school, 2021. Gendron made a generalized threat while he attended Susquehanna Valley Central High School. June 21, Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia said Sunday in response to a question from CNN's Shyman Prokopets at a Buffalo News conference. Gramaglia said state police brought the student in for a mental health evaluation. After a day and a half, he was released, according to Gramaglia. He also said that the threat was not racially motivated. Flynn told CNN's Victor Blackwell Sunday he couldn't speak specifically to the June 21 threat Gendron made when he was in high school, as it occurred in Broome County. Flynn did say there was no threat that was brought to anyone in Buffalo or Erie County ahead of Saturday's shooting. Separately, a spokesman for New York State Police told CNN on Sunday it investigated a report that a 17-year-old student had made a threatening statement. The student was taken to a hospital in June 21 for a mental health evaluation. That's almost a year ago. The spokesman said state police responded to the high school in Conklin, New York on June 8, 2021. Following the threatening statement, the student was taken into custody under NYS Mental Health Law Section 941 and transported to the hospital for a mental health evaluation, says CNN in an email. State police were unable to confirm how long the individual was in the hospital or the findings of the evaluation. They also refused to name the 17-year-old. Naturally, they couldn't name him because he's underage, and it is against the law to mention any type of personal business pertaining to children under the age of 18. I think y'all know that. Earlier Sunday, Governor Hochul also mentioned the investigation into a threat the suspect made in high school, speaking to Margaret Brennan on CBS Face the Nation. Apparently, he was investigated when he was a high school student, brought to the attention of authorities. He had a medical evaluation based on something he had written in school, and so we're going to find out what happened. Gendron was arraigned Saturday evening before Buffalo City Court Chief Judge Craig Hanna on one count of first-degree murder, the district attorney's news release said. He pleaded not guilty. Hanna told CNN if convicted, he faces a maximum sentence, life without parole. And there may be more charges coming, officials said. My office is working closely with the U.S. Attorney's Office and our partners in law enforcement into potential terrorism and hate crimes. This is an active investigation. Additional charges may be filed, Flynn said in a statement. Gendron is set to return to court on the morning of May 19th for a felony hearing. The release said he will remain in custody without bail, it added. The suspect made very disturbing statements describing his motive, state of mind following his arrest, and official familiar with the investigation, told CNN. I don't understand that. And state of mind. The official said the statements made after the arrest were clear and filled with hate toward the black community. The alleged shooter made it known he was targeting the black community during the statements, according to the official. Investigators have uncovered other information from search warrants and other methods indicating the alleged shooter was studying previous hate attacks and shootings. CNN is the source if you need verification for the information. Let me say this, and let me say this directly to Mr. Gendron. You are 18 years of old. You have not lived a full life. And I don't know what you've been through and haven't been through, but I'm going to say this due to what a neighbor just said about your mother being nice, blah, blah, blah. It really doesn't matter what type of life you had. You had no reason, no excuse to walk into that grocery store and shoot those people, whether they were black, white, Indian, Mexican, Jew, Arab, doesn't matter. Because it wasn't your place. It's nobody's place. You haven't lived a full life to even know what the hell the world is about. You have not suffered great Have you suffered greatly, sir? Do you know what it's like to suffer greatly? To be without food, water, shelter, home, car, money. 9 times out of 10, your parents pay for everything because you're 18 years of age. You lived in their house. Did you have a car? Did they pay for your car insurance? How did you buy the gun? Did they give you money? Did you work? You bought the gun legally. Sickly, you bought a gun. And sadly, the state missed a chance to deny you the opportunity to purchase a weapon. You are what is wrong with America today. You're holding on to something that is ignorant and petty. You're mad at the black people for what reason? Because you watch the news, you hear horrible things that are crimes. You're not in the black community. If anybody should be crying and moaning, it should be us. Because some of us live around our own race and can't live peacefully because of the things that go on. But nonetheless, white people kill white people too in their own neighborhoods and go in other neighborhoods and kill white folks. Because last I checked, y'all do kill each other. So you're walking around mad about what exactly? Your race is not going anywhere. The white race is not going anywhere. It's never going to go anywhere. This country is predominantly white. You don't even know what you're talking about. You sound stupid. But this is what happens when you're young, dumb, and ignorant. You see, the time you're wasting about what is going on over there, you should be bettering yourself and contributing to make the world a better place. See, your focus was blind. You should be worried about being a better guy, a better civilian, going to school, going to work, helping people. You don't have to have any black friends. I don't care. Wouldn't bother me none. You stay in your lane, I stay in mine. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's to any other racists out there. The time you're spending worrying about a black man, Jew, Mexican, you could be doing something better to make your white world better. It's a waste of time worrying about other races. Be the best you can be. But see, you don't have that focus. Now you want to plead what? Not guilty. So you didn't go in that store and kill those people? So who was it? Your doppelganger? Your twin, your alternate personality went in there. So you and your alternate personality, you two talk. He told you to go in there. What did he tell you? They're evil, they're mean, kill them. See, some of us blacks, we still don't have to hold a grudge considering to what the white man's done to us hundreds of years ago. And it's not fair to punish white people for what their ancestors did to our ancestors. But when it becomes a problem, such as this right here, when the hate is still spewing, the injustices are still spewing, the profiling is still spewing. That's why we have the problem. Don't judge me according to what Bob did over there, what Pookie did over there. It's not my problem. I didn't do it. See, that's your problem. You're like a lot of people. You group everybody the same. Them, those. Them, who are you speaking about? 2 black people go in a store and rob the store. What the hell does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with the other black people in our country? Abroad? Nothing. That's a choice. Somebody went in the store and robbed the store. Shot somebody. Got nothing to do with I. It's a personal choice. Same thing with a white man going in somebody's house, breaking in and robbing a white man and a white woman, or assaulting a child or a woman. That's his choice. Should I say all white people are the same because a white man went in somebody's house and broke in their house, stole their goods, stole their car? See, you need to grow up. And what's sad is you're a young person that's ignorant who would then become an older person that's ignorant. That's why we have older ignorant people, because possibly they started as young ignorant people. You see, now you're in a place where you're going to see how hard life is. I hope you're watching. You think life was so terrible before with the white folks diminishing. Well, now you get to go sit in a damn jail with them black folks that you despise. Mexican, white, Jew, Arab, all gonna be in the jail. Oops, they didn't tell you that, did they? You're gonna get to be in there with your own kind that don't like themselves. So how you gonna feel sitting next to a white man who's raped a child or woman? Not gonna feel too good, is it? And nobody's gonna care about how you feel about black folks, because you get ready to see what life is really about. You better hope don't nobody put nothing in your grits in the morning. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Mr. Gendron? Pray that nobody cuts your throat in your sleep, or they let somebody come in your cell and do you in. Put rat poison in your Kool-Aid. You see, you don't have any problems. You're just some miserable sap looking for an excuse to be angry. You're like a lot of people. You have black people that are bitter, white people that are bitter. All races are bitter. People finding crazy reasons to be angry 24 hours a day, this and that. And it's a waste of life. You know when you should be bitter, sir? When you have to pay a mortgage, gas, water, lights, car notes, car insurance, pay a due bill for your college education. When they send you that bill that you owe them $100,000, $200,000 for a 4-year institution, then come to us and talk about how hard life is. The government wants their damn money back. You don't know what life is about. You ain't been here but 18 years. And that means somebody held you, burped you, fed you Similac, Enfamil for free. You didn't have to pay a damn dime. And you went through school, what, mad because somebody picked on you, teased on you? Well, that happens every damn day. What's your problem? Because you've probably been afforded to be a fuck up. A non-relevant motherfucker. Like so many. Now, there are people who are like you who have changed and realized they've wasted their life hating people, black people, Mexicans, whatever the race is, whomever. Because in the end, nobody cares. Did you hear that? From that little jail cell you in up there in New York? Nobody cares that you don't like black people, because the rest of us black folks trying to live and have a life and pay bills and make it in the world. We ain't got that kind of time to be worried about somebody white not liking us. We got a real life. We trying to stay afloat, stay above ground. Trying to stay out of the way of people like you that want to run through a supermarket with a damn AR-15 shooting. We ain't got that kind of time. You've wasted a life by taking them other people's lives because you're selfish and self-serving and a narcissist and a sociopath. And you're going to find out how hard life really is in that jail if you live long enough to make it to trial. You just signed your own death warning there. But that was your choice because you're ignorant. And you probably was taught that way. Heard mommy and daddy making little nasty remarks, nigger jokes, all that kind of foolishness. Or you got hung up with some white kids that didn't like black folks. Somebody did something to them. Now they hate all black folks. But it's a waste of time because there are ignorant people everywhere, mean people everywhere, cruel people everywhere, bullies everywhere, in every race. You have to ignore people that are ignorant. You chose not to. You decided to become the very thing you loathe. So how stupid you sit today in a New York jail. You have become what you loathe. So that means you are no different than the black people you don't like. You think all we do is rob, cheat, steal, manipulate, con, kill people for no reason. Yes, we have a lot of crime in the urban neighborhoods. No excuse for it. But you white people also kill, shoot, murder, defraud your own kind every day. You just don't like to talk about it. But that's what the ID channel, Oxygen, Dateline, 48 Hours. Are you listening, sir? Those stories about white people. So you should have done your homework, because you just forfeited your life and your freedom for nothing. You could have been a happy, white, 18-year-old kid out here making friends, dating, going to school, getting an education, living a good life, and you forfeited all for hate for people who didn't even know you existed. Because in my book, you don't exist. You're a bottom feeder. And the only person that you are important to would be your parents and God. The only three. I want to thank you all for joining me. God bless all of you. I'm into hour 3 of this live. This was a 6-part live of all breaking news stories. Please start at the beginning of the video to get the sad information pertaining to each story. Summer Wells, Vicki White's funeral, Moab murders, the suicide of Naomi Judd, Redonda Vaught, Brooklyn shootings, and also, I think I've left somebody out. I had a lot of titles in there. Make sure I got everybody. 6 parts. 6-part live. Thank you so much. God bless all of you. Have a prosperous week. Hope you all stay cool. Stay out of the way. If you see something, say something. Don't be a part of the problem. Be a part of the solution. Mr. Gendron is nobody, and we need not ever mention his name again. As this man said in his commentary, name wasn't worth mentioning because he doesn't need the glory for killing 10 people. He doesn't need the glory. You got that when you live streamed, because that's what you wanted. Thank you, Bagel. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm not going to give it to you on this network. It's a wrap for me. Thank you all so much. God bless you. Have a prosperous week. You all stay safe. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Bye-bye.